Video's good, Apple's good, but I feel like Apple's has reached some levels that um,
Yeah, they've been shifting lower
yeah.
lately, the past few years.
I mean, it's obviously if you had it at a cheaper price, this is not bad to hold, right? But
Yeah,
buying
yeah,
here would
absolutely.
be
Yeah, largest market cap companies now. Dropped.
বিপুল ভোটের জনতা।
I'm sorry? Were you guys talking to me or?
I think it might have been open mic by mistake.
Yeah, it sounds like Sonny has a hot mic.
We haven't started. I'm just looking. There's an ETF for China here on this list.
tried to everyone just to let them know and remind them class is starting soon. But I just realized I can't.
Some people are joining.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
All right, I think we'll go ahead and start. Oh man, there are some opportunities from the last stock scan. I don't know who got advantage of it. Well. All right, guys. Let me. I thought I was sharing. So I'll kind of go over what you guys are looking at and what I'm doing. Pretty much, I do this quarterly, sometimes monthly. We've been running a lot, obviously, in the stock market. So finding the, the laggards or rotational items that have potential to make money sometimes are minimal, right? And I prefer to buy at bottom. That requires a lot of patience, right? And sometimes maybe there's no opportunities, right? Either keep what you have. And usually what I do in my personal portfolio is when I have shares like that are up 60, 70%, I like to trim some of it and then keep runners, right? To see how far it goes. A lot of people, say you had bought NVIDIA at 100, most people sell it all at 200, I made 100%. But then you miss out another $600 a share. So just think about it. You had 10 shares of NVIDIA, $1,000. That's $7,000 now, right? You don't have to keep them all, but it's not bad to have some kind of strategy on how you're gonna cut the cost down and how you're gonna profit more. So everybody's different, right? And what I do, what I've been doing here is I use something called Keltner channels. And for you, is anyone not familiar what a Keltner channel is?
I'm not.
Me.
I have no.
I'm not familiar.
No problem. So if you guys think about it, and have you heard of Bollinger Bands? If you've been trading, most people have heard of Bollinger Bands, right?
Yeah.
So Bollinger Bands it uses similar idea, right? Keltner channels use average true range to determine where's the top, where's the bottom. On Bollinger Bands, they use standard deviations to figure that out. it's similar, but there's a little bit of a custom code that I have in these Keltner channels that make it a little bit more accurate, and they've been doing great work for past years that I've bought them. And when I look for stuff, there's different time frames that you look at on Keltner channels. And what I mean by that, if I was to look at Keltner channels on monthly, which is what I'm showing you here, you have monthly clouds that are irrelevant what time frame you're on. Just make sure you understand that. I can go on, 4 hours, and that monthly top that you just saw here, 5384. And even if I go to weekly here, you still see that 5384. So the time frame that you're looking at and the clouds do not intersect. If I was to go on that on a 3-month chart here, I just would not see that monthly chart, and that's the only limitation. I just want to set everybody up. So when I'm looking to buy stocks, right, I'm looking to find stocks that have been on the bottom of the monthlies and that have the weekly bottom, or if they have a combo, like this one here was on our stock scan, right? I don't know if you guys recall this one. And I document the list, right? See, put $1,000 in it and see how far it goes on 115. And then if you go back to 115 here, somewhere around here, if you go, if you put $1,000 there, it would target 28, and then you would have the opportunity. Once they're able to pop over this, you're targeting a lot. So you're buying at the bottom, so the risk becomes minimal when I'm looking for stuff. And this is a true range of the stock based on previous months that it's been moving, based on volume profile and other attributes that are part of it. I'm able to determine and find the bottoms, right? And if you guys remember, we also just giving you a few examples what we were looking for. Do you guys recall this one here, the Yum Yum brand? Some of you, I would say quite a few of you were on 37.39, very good price for a long-term hold. So if you go here, right, and you see what they did, they ran it up all the way to 44 on shares perspective, right? If you make $7-8 on a share in a short period of time, not a bad return. Some people are not happy with that, but that's okay.
Yeah, that was good, Shorty. I took a position at 35 and exited on the result.
And there's quite a few that we've found, right? I mean, here's a full list of everything that we've been tracking, what I've been looking to add, and I highlight some of the ones that I've been buying, like NEM was, I would say was very good. Pfizer still hasn't played out, right? That's a really long term, but here's NEM, if you guys remember. When it came to the bottom, I mean, this still has a chance to rocket, right?
Is that Google Doc on the Discord somewhere?
Yeah. Yeah, I share this with you guys, and I kind of comment when I do buy them. I comment in the chat that I've added this or I didn't add this. It just depends, where it's sitting.
Yeah. I think I missed it just because I joined, I think literally a few days after that.
Yeah,
115.
no worries. Yeah, I can share this and you guys will be able to see it. But the idea is, when people overhype stocks, and I'll give you guys kind of like a rule that I play with. If everybody's in the stock, I'm not in it. And that's just everything that I do, I would say, in life. When people are all lined up for it, I'm not in it. Everybody's buying some, crap. I don't need to buy. I don't need to create that artificial demand. And that's how my brain works and how I've been raised. So that's kind of what I do. Okay. So now does anyone have any questions? And, different time frames, different clouds. And I can show you guys, how I have it set up, for my, let me see if I can change this here real quick. So you guys see, what does my screen look like, on a daily basis in terms of toss when I trade. So here's my, clouds, right? I'm able to see, the 4-hour cloud. I keep it on the bottom. This is my daily. Then I have the cumulative, and then I have my weekly cloud here. And I'm trying to see, where's ES in terms of longer clouds. And then I also have, if you guys are familiar, my orbs, right? Where are we in terms of orb high, orb low? All of this is pretty much in my face when I'm trading and I'm looking at it. Do I pay attention to every one of these when I'm intraday trading? Probably not, right? I mean, it's too much data to consume. I do look at where are we when we start? For instance, right now, if you guys look at this cloud here, this is our 4-hour cloud. We went above, right? And there's a little bit of selling that's occurring here. And I don't use MACD, but this strategy that I use involves MACD because of the clouds, right? And if you guys look here, sometimes people will say cloud is closed, cloud's open. Have you guys heard that?
Yeah.
So most of you should have heard that, right? And what they mean by that is that do you see this cloud shading on the top versus the bottom? Like you see how this portion of the cloud's darker versus the top?
Yeah.
Okay. When the cloud, when the cloud is shaded, pay attention to what happened to the cloud right here. Do you guys see this? The cloud was closed and look where they rejected. They will not get through the cloud. They will not go higher till this cloud's open, till it's shaded less, meaning open cloud. There's a high chance if we go to the bottom now, right? So if we were to execute this play right here, this would be a fairly good long as this cloud stays closed. If the cloud is closed and we come to it, there's a high chance that it's going to bounce. And those are the type of setups that I pay attention to because they work a lot of times. Okay. So
Now,
Shorty, is this same as the TradingView clouds that we see?
the only difference is that your 4-hour cloud will never match.
Okay.
Between TradingView and TradingView, I do have the offsets. Like I try to calculate them occasionally, just because I don't necessarily use TradingView clouds a lot. But what we did for Shorty clouds on TradingView and what he's talking about, I'll bring it up here so you guys are kind of aware of what's going on.
exactly what I was going to ask too. Thank
So
you,
if
Sonny.
you go here to Shorty clouds and not shortly, but Shorty. So you guys have Shorty clouds access. If you don't, you can message me your TradingView name and I'll give you that. But what that means, if you click on this Shorty clouds here, and it should come up somewhere. Maybe I'm out of, don't know what's the max number of indicators now. It seems like it changed everything lately. Oh, here it goes. They're coming up. So this right here. So if you go there and you click this, and you might have to click the settings. Not this one. I don't know how to shorten this damn name. Okay. So if you guys go, I mean, you're going to have a lot of options. So you see how you have the 4-hour cloud, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, right? You can check these and you would get the similar concept to what I had on this screen, right? This is my 4-hour cloud. This is my daily, weekly, and a combo cloud, right? Everybody follow so far?
Yes, sir.
And that's what you have on this screen as well. So if I want to show 4 hours and a weekly, let's say you don't want 4 hours, you want these, you can click enable this, right? And you just have to go a little bit higher time frame so you can see them. And here are the clouds, right? And you can mess with the colors, whatever works. I could not look at this to save my life. You're able to see that we are, I can't see, it should be daily cloud here that we are inside. I believe it is daily. Let's check, the yellow should be daily. Yep, daily cloud. And you see there inside the daily cloud, you know, I would say that 320 has to be tapped on NQ next week, and then it needs to hold, otherwise it goes to the bottom here. But you have the same clouds on TradingView. What you don't have is the scanner, right? And you can amend these clouds and you can look at stuff. And if you have stocks that, let's say you're interested on your own, that you're researching and buying as you should be, then you can be like, okay, well, let me take a look at, for instance, AAP and see what it does, right? So I like to look at these on Ashis just because it makes it a little bit easier. And you can see like, hey, where's the monthly bottom? Where's the quarterly bottom? Am I buying below or above inside the clouds, right? And there's only literally, 4 setups that I use the clouds for. And I'll explain those here in a second. So there's, backdoors that are bullish and bearish, and then there's money shots that are bullish or bearish, okay? And I'll use Thinkorswim just so I can explain it because it's a little bit easier for me to see. So let me go back here.
Could you explain those MACD numbers on the top right of the chart right there?
Yeah, that's just telling you your MACD value. If the value is negative, like this one, or this one is positive, it's telling you the momentum on the daily right now. Let's see what it shows. On the daily MACD is positive tiny bit. And the daily values of MACDs show me basically the doors on the cloud, as I was explaining earlier. It's just your MACD value. Is it positive or is it negative? So for instance, if you go here, right, you will see the value of MACD. Like I'm on ES right now, I'm on 1 hour, and there's a major divergence, and you see, you know, that it's slightly positive, right? But not really. It's basically flat. It's just showing you the value above this line and below the line.
Thank
So let me kind of reiterate the cloud setups, right? So let me make sure this is a daily cloud. So we'll go back. Let's just go on 4-hour chart so you guys can see it. So obviously we've been in an uptrend, so there's not a lot of setups when you're hugging the top of something, right? There's not a lot of pullbacks, and you see we've been dragging along for quite a bit, but you can still find some, right? So let me explain some. So here, for instance, you see how we went above the cloud right here. We went above the cloud, we came back in, and what changed? Do you guys see what changed? Something changed and it gave you heads up.
you. Volume?
Well, the cloud changed. The cloud was open, it was able to go through it. And when they came back, you see right here that this cloud is closed. And they were not able to crack it. Cloud is closed. They are not closing above it. And then the cloud opened, and what do you see happen? They go above it, right? So there's two plays that I care for, right? When you're above the cloud and you go above a significant higher high, like you crack this, and then you come back here, this right here is called bullish backdoor. You go above the doors and you come back, and that's a bullish sign. Just kind of like right here. You came back and you see here, it just hasn't executed yet, right? So now if they crack low, you know, that would be a bearish money shot where you continue in the trend that you're going. And then most likely you're targeting this. This is bullish backdoor when you hold the top. This is bearish money shot here, okay? Does that make sense? That's the two plays on top of the clouds. You have a bullish backdoor. It's basically a support and resistance flip, right? When you think about it, you go above a resistance right here and you come back retest. This one is bearish. You go below the resistance, below the support, and then you use it as resistance, and you go to the next mid cloud, the line that you see like a little snake. That's the mid of the between the clouds, midline. So this is daily mid. Does that make sense so far? The two plays on the top. Anyone confused?
What about the clouds being open and closed? It doesn't matter because one looks closed and one's open.
So that's what I'm saying. The MACD tells us if this has momentum to go higher or lower. So in 4 hours, it's telling me the MACDs, right? And you see the bottom one, you know, for instance, here as you approached, it's telling you there's a major divergence happening here, and the cloud's closed. And you usually want the cloud to be above or below -1, above 1 or -1 to be considered closed or open. If it's below that, you can just slice through it. On the bottom, I have to go below, find when it actually happened. So let's see here. Let's zoom in on this one. So now it would be the same set of plays that I look for clouds. And I usually look at this on higher time frames, right? Not necessarily on daily. I'll look at this on the weekly clouds. But the concept I'm trying to show has nothing to do with time frames. It's the concept itself. So for instance, here, you know, they went to the clouds, they rejected, they tapped the daily, most likely targeting the bottom. And then you see that they have a bearish backdoor occurring. They went here and they tapped the back of the cloud right here, if you guys see it, and that's called a bearish backdoor. Then once they reclaimed the cloud, right, you see how they went lower, but look at this. They went inside the cloud. Then this is called what? Who wants to take a guess? This is a bearish backdoor, back of the cloud rejection, continue in the trend you're going. A bullish money shot that's occurring here is that you reclaim the cloud. And if you zoom in on this section, look what they did here. They tapped it perfectly. Your first target is the middle, and they went to the middle. If they can hold, if they can hold this, right? If they have the ability to hold this right here, the daily cloud, the next one would be the top target. Then you see them, they fail to reach the top, then most likely they lose the middle, they're going to the bottom. And they went to the bottom, they lost the bottom, and then they reclaimed it in the cloud here, obviously turned closed. And then they hit the top, and ever since, right, I would say this is somewhere in October probably, they went higher. And then here's another, what setup would this be right here? I mean, this is a very good setup here. What's the name of this one?
Bearish backdoor.
Anyone else?
Bearish money shot.
This is bearish money shot. Backdoors occur on top, and bearish backdoors don't occur on the top of the cloud. They occur where?
Oh, the bottom.
On the bottom.
The middle. Yeah.
So this is bearish money shot, right? It's going in a trend that's going, and the cloud closed. Typically, they want to touch the middle of the cloud, but I would say lately, and this is 4-hour cloud, they haven't been playing a lot by the rules, but like for instance here they did. They went below, they tapped, they came back, cloud closed, they came to the middle, they rejected, and then they're hugging the top of the cloud pretty much ever since. Okay, so everybody okay with the clouds?
Very good.
Yes.
One question about it is, so do the clouds have something to do with the full send indicator? That
They do. It's
okay.
a whole kind of like it's the strategy that I've used a lot for especially shares, right? For me, if you have, you know, for instance, if you have a full send and it shows up on 30 minutes, and I won't speak to it, right? But when you have a 30-minute cloud, full send, you do not want to go against it. In most cases, intraday, a lot of people are like, and if you go back to it and you look at it, 30 minutes intraday, day to day, they do not miss. But if you find something like on a weekly, if you find a weekly full send, and these don't show up very often, right? So let me see. So let's just show it here. So if you look at the full send, I mean, and you know, here's one. The last time it showed up is, guess when?
October.
October, right?
Yeah.
So they don't show up often, right? Now let me adjust this time frame here. Go 20 years. Okay, so on daily, for instance, what you're seeing here, and I can adjust this right now. So you guys will just be able to see. If you're ever in TOS, this fucking open studying. Okay, so this is daily, right? And you see the more frequently on daily, you'll get a full send and you will get a movement out of it, right? And what the box shows here is the Elliott waves, like, and the probabilities. And then on the zones, right? There's some rules that I have, right? We won't go into details of this, but just kind of give you guys insights. Like you have the corrective, you have the high probability, lowest tradable probability, medium probability, and the motive wave, right? It tells you based on the coloring of the box, like what is it telling you in terms of clouds. So if you look at the box right here, right, and you see here full send with the green on top, and I look at that, you know, you would eventually learn this. If you look at this, the top line is green. What does it say? Probability is that it's going to work. High probability. So I go here and I look at this full send right here, probability high, and look what happened. It went from 43.70 all the way to 46.28. And it really never challenged your entry at all. So if you go on 30 minutes, and I like to use 30 minutes, you know, for intraday stuff, and you'll see people in the Discord, hey, full send on 30 minutes. If you go here, look, You know, it gave you this, it's a high probability setup, and it played out, right? It really never challenged any of your lows or entries, and it went up. So now when you're, you know, let's say you're trading on you know, you're trying to catch the top, you usually, if you see, for instance, a full send like here, let's say this is a monthly full send at 2200. I mean, if this occurs on a monthly on the top, I would buy puts 2 years out and I would not look at them. If that was to occur, it's obviously not occurring, but if this was to occur, I would definitely buy some puts. And we haven't seen it yet, right? We're in a third wave right now, and the third wave is the longest wave, right? So 1, 2, and this is the third wave happening. So we still have a little bit of, call it, play to occur, but MACD is diverging. I pay attention to these things, but I can't use it in my intraday trading, if that makes sense. This chart cannot influence my day-to-day, and it doesn't. And that's what you guys have to understand. You can't take a daily trade off of, you know, whether a monthly level is telling me a full send or not. Okay. Is everybody okay with full send? It's basically Elliott waves or Wolf waves that he uses.
Shorty, I got a question for you.
Yep.
I hadn't talked to you in a while. I've been busy and had major knee surgery a couple weeks ago, so
Hope you're doing good, Bill, man.
I'm getting better. On the Shorty clouds, when you pull up the indicators on TradingView, even if you don't have it, it should show up, correct?
No, those are private, right? So if you don't have it, just send me a message and I'll give you access.
Okay, I got straight clouds, but I don't have Shorty clouds.
It's the same. So straight clouds is just for visibility purposes that you guys can see it easier, right? So if you go here, I like straight clouds better, right? So if you go type in straight, some people might get offended with the name straight, but I don't care. Okay, so if you look at these clouds, for instance, and you can change the time frames, like you see how it's 15 minutes. Let's change it to 65 minutes, and you have to go on time frame that's below that. And then you see here, this is your 65-minute, and same concept occurs here. Right? There's the 65-minute stop and the bottom, and you see basically they stayed within 65 minutes. If you're gonna have a trend day, 65-minute cloud has to be broken. Just keep that in mind. If you want to have a trend day for the day, we have to be above 65-minute top or bottom. If you're not, it's not going to be a trend day.
Okay.
But yeah, if you guys need access, just ping me. I will provide you access, and you guys get to keep these. I don't remove them from you guys. If you leave Discord, you're not happy, sure, you can keep the indicators, but you don't get the knowledge.
Okay. I'll send you a message so I can get the regular ones too.
Yep, sure. All right.
Okay.
Now that we're over the clouds and full send, are you guys ready to kind of look to see if we have any potential opportunities to buy some stuff?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you for going over all that.
Yeah, well, I think it's good that you guys at least understand why we're doing it. Use my technical skills. All right, so now that I ran the test, right, the scan here, so I'll just expand it a little bit. Right, so I'm able to tell it like what do I want it to search. Right now I'm searching the bottom of the clouds because I want to buy at the bottom of something. I don't want to buy Apple at the top. And I can show you, for instance, where some of the stocks are right now, like the big boys that you guys are familiar with. So if I look at Amazon, okay, here's what we had drawn on Amazon. Bullish money shot. You go above this and look what happened. Rocket, right? You basically executed everything you needed to execute on the bullish side from the 90 level, and it went it doubled. It went up. And then if you look at any big boys like Apple, here's Apple. It went, where did it bounce from? It went to the top, and look where it's bouncing right now. Do you guys know what this purple line is?
Monthly bottom? Oh,
This
no,
is monthly mid, so the monthly bottom is purple and the dotted line is purple. That means it's the middle of the monthlies. So if it was to lose this, 140 happens rather quickly. Like it will be super quick. And look at the, on the weekly, look at your divergences here. Nobody's buying this. The 80s one. Somebody thinks they're buying. They're not buying it.
You see
So
why I'm
that's
trying
what
to
we're
get
gonna.
my dad to diversify, right?
Well, I can't tell people what to do, but
It is like, it's probably
is
gonna bounce off that mid
it
for
can
months.
bounce here, right? But this is a second attempt that it's coming here. So if it reclaims 175, then it goes 185, 195, and they stay in this range. But it seems like they're dipping inside the value here. If this is the top of the previous value that was sitting here, and if this was the bottom right here, if you want to call this, I don't know what's to the left, but I'm just saying if this was the value, you're not agreeing on the price is higher. You're dipping inside the previous range.
Yeah,
And if you can't agree here, you're most likely the
Potential.
value is going to shift lower.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
let
he
me
has
get
all his eggs in one basket. It's not good.
Oof, that's tough. I mean, it's not bad. There's, hedge fund managers that have the same idea, right? If you find a good stock at a good price, some people buy a lot of it, but if you appreciate it a lot, that's a different story.
Oh, yeah, he definitely got it a while ago, so he's still good, but still.
Yeah. So let's look at some stuff. So 3M, this one's already in my portfolio. And there's a reason why I bought it, right? So we came to the monthly bottom here. And I guess I'm still targeting this top here. So we came to the monthly bottom 85. We bounced nicely, hitting 110. And now you see, right? This is where we potentially going to get a lot of, retail traders to buy right here. Once they crack this, right, it has a high chance to do this. I would not add to my position. I've been adding a lot in this range. I have quite a bit of shares. Actually, my dividends on this is so good. Like when they hit dividends, it's like Christmas for me. So I've been adding a lot of this, and you see the divergences that they've been playing here. And I'll just give you a quick reversal on Apple and pay attention to Apple on the monthly bottom. You see the green line on the bottom here where the divergence happened? Divergence is it's making higher lows and price made lower lows, right? Price made lower lows here, and this one went up. And now if you go to 3M, you see what 3M is doing, right? They put in a lot of lower lows here, and there's no selling. They're not selling here, guys. I guarantee you they're not selling. Not this company. Somebody big is acquiring this, and I'll just go with the big boys, right? I'm buying, and if they want to go to 85, I'll add to 85. I will not add here, for instance. This is not a risk reward for adding, but it is in the bottom of this level, right? I'm on the quarterly cloud, so I'll probably switch this to monthly for now and go from there just to make sure that we catch them all. Okay, so that one is there. I'm looking at materials to see what's there. I think materials, any raw materials would be good. And something like this, right? I don't go blindly by it, right? But this one, I look at their financials a little bit, right? That's what I'm about to do on my other screen. And when you look at their material, when you look at their revenue, for instance, just quickly, year over year, they're down 60%. EPS down. Cash, 2%. And you see here that they're doing some funny shit.
Wow.
Yep. So I would look into this, right? I would look to see what's going on. I'll probably read some of their reports to see what is going on. Because if I'm going to release my capital towards the company, right, I want to see what are they producing. I'm interested in materials for long-term holds, just because the way I would say the economy is shifting, the world's shifting, right? I want to know if they're in what kind of materials are they producing? What are they getting out of the earth, right? So I can understand if there's any potential for them. And then I want to know like about their leadership, who's there, if they've been there long enough. And then I want to check their option packages, meaning how much stock are they getting, and are they in there just to, take the stock and the money and leave? Because I've seen that before, and I've experienced it with CEOs that I work for, right? You hear them talk, and they're just nasty humans that come in and bring in their buddies and friends. They basically don't increase revenue or none of the factors that matter. And then 3 years later, they're like, we're retiring. So I look at this, right? And this would be one of them that I want to look and see what they do. Okay. So I don't blindly buy, but I'll definitely look at this one, to see, being at what price it is right now. I believe like $14. And you see the MACD on the bottom on the weekly, there's some accumulation happening. There's not a lot of inventory that's being sold. So I don't mind throwing, even if I put in $5 grand in this, putting a lot.
Yeah, I heard you go, oh, and I'm like, it gets me excited too.
It's at $14, and they did tap this cloud. If you guys go here, 12, so ending it towards 1381.
This is one of that SPAC darling back in the day, Shorty, from Chamath. This MP made. Yeah, this was part of like I traded this back those days. Like,
hold on, this is a SPAC?
Yeah, it was like it's merged through that SPAC, whatever the reverse merger, the MP materials. It's one of the Chamath, that perhaps the billionaire, right, from California.
I just don't like him. I feel like he's full of shit.
Yeah, this is one of those moment GME, APE, AMC, the SPACs. This is one of the item that was a reverse merger.
Okay, well, it's good to know. When I'm looking at some of their financials here, I'm looking 12 months trailing here. I mean, their revenue is growing. I will look into. I don't mind adding some stuff here. I do like materials, right? The NTR. I'm not sure with some of these companies, right? I usually like to buy companies that I'm familiar with. Like you, for instance, you see this. You went from 120, lost 50% value. Weekly, monthly bottom again has a high chance to go to 67. Not bad to look into it and see what actually are they doing with financials and do all that.
So, Shorty, these clouds, if it is weekly or monthly, they will change once in a week, once in a month, right? Shorty,
they use the previous averages of the weeks and months, correct, to recalculate. And it takes a village, it takes a lot in terms of averages to move a monthly cloud. It takes quite a bit.
Got it, Shorty. Just have one question, Shorty. When I go for the daily cloud, let's say the daily cloud is closed based on that I'm entering an action. The next day the cloud is open. That means it's better to be cautious and exit the thing, right? Because
correct.
Okay. Thanks, Shorty.
I'm just looking here. I've seen this Payseek software, but at $199 for a company I'm not familiar with. They work well. Holy shit. The hell did they do?
Flattening out there, yeah.
Wow. Wow, they are at the monthly bottom. They were $600. God almighty. I mean, it's at a good spot at a monthly bottom, but I could not release $200 for it unless I see their revenue and going through the roof. I would not release much on this, but it seems to be that they're growing.
But your scanner there on the right, you're going, like, you're searching bottom at all.
You
Like-
broke up, sorry.
Your stock scanner on the right, you're able to see the monthly bottoms and sort by monthly bottom. Like all the ones on the right there are at monthly bottom with
Yeah.
the,
I'm looking for is monthly bottoms. And I'm looking for volume that's averaging at least 500,000 shares a day. Because I don't want to buy something and then I can't get out of it because nobody is participating in the auction for it. So a lot of people just put volume of 500K, but then if one day they have 500K volume and the next day they don't, they would still get that on their search result.
Okay.
When I search, I want for 90 days that their average of volume is greater than 500,000. Because then I know I
Okay.
can get out, right? And I'm just searching on the monthly bottoms.
is there a guide on how to kind of set that up to where you get that to do that?
These you would have to have the clouds because it's searching based on the clouds logic. It's integrated with this,
Okay,
the search.
on Thinkorswim, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Sometimes I did like special sales on some of this stuff, so we'll see what we can come up with. And yeah,
gotcha. Thanks.
let's see what else. Neo, I think I actually, you guys told me that wasn't this the Chinese car company or something like that?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's at
a
a
Chinese
level that's at a level where you can't ignore it right now for potential. Look at this MACD divergence here. Right, so it is at the weekly and the monthly bottom. So honestly, I might just throw some money into this. I don't see Tesla taking over the Chinese market, so somebody will have to. So I might just put some money into this. Let's see, it's at 450 right now, closed. If if they're willing to offer it to me at this level at 422, I would buy it.
Can you also check Rivian? That's another EV that I saw there.
I think I actually see these cars on the streets. Is this?
Yeah, they're like trucks. I've seen a few of them.
Neo.
Yeah, a bunch of people around me have them.
Dude, look at this where it tapped, guys. Do you guys see this?
Rivian's with Amazon, ain't it?
I don't know who owns them, who's got the investment in it.
Yeah, Amazon bought out like a fleet of their cars.
Yeah, and especially if you look at Northeast, the Amazon Rivian delivery trucks are becoming, very conspicuous on the road nowadays. They are definitely selling their car.
Yeah, and I think I got targeted the other day because I was thinking about buying an electric car just because in the state of Georgia there's this HOV lane that you get privileges to go in, and you don't have to pay for a Peach Pass, like $15 one way to go to Atlanta. I was just thinking about buying a car, and then Rivian came up, and then they had a new model or something like an SUV, like almost like a Y model of Tesla, and it looks better than Tesla. And I hate to say Tesla lovers, but it looks a little
Yeah,
better.
they're not.
So I don't think this is a bad level. You just have to, like always, manage your risk, right? You have to be, can they go and dip inside the cloud if the markets turn around? Yeah, definitely can, right? But at least from here, you can double your money fairly easy over 12.4. 12.4, they had 16 and 19. Honestly, I don't think this is bad. I would have to look at their growth. I would highly doubt that they're profitable at this point, right? It would be really difficult for an EV company.
They're losing 40K a car right now.
Yeah, so
Elon Musk says they're gonna fail.
If I was Elon Musk, I would also say they're gonna fail.
Yeah, that's why I take it with a grain of salt, but he did say that.
Yeah, and I mean, there's probably some truth to that, right? If you're losing 40K a car, I mean, how long can you do that? When you think about like inventory, what we talk about stock market, how long can Apple sell their phones at $200 before they go bankrupt? Probably not long. Right. So if they're selling at some point, the investors are going to pull out. So when I say up, I don't know, this should be optionable because when I'm searching, I make sure that it's optionable. There's probably, some truth that you could play some options here. And I don't know what's their short interest. If it's pretty high, it might not be a bad idea just to throw up maybe $200-300 in some options and see if you can catch some crazy run here. Because if retail hops in and they start buying this crap and some good news come out, this can change quickly. I'll probably throw in $200-300 in options and go from there.
Shorty, how long do you think that would play out? Like a month? Because you're looking at a monthly cloud.
No, we need 6 to 8 months on this. I would buy something further out. What are we in now? April. I would look for October options on this. And just
Okay,
remember,
thank you.
when we talked about Hood. Do you guys remember Hood from the stock scan? Anyone?
I know what it's doing. It's
Well,
crazy.
let me show you what they did. When I said that it's not a bad idea to throw some stuff here, it was somewhere around here when we talked about it. It was, I think, January 15th. It was right here. So it was at the weekly bottom, reclaimed bullish money shot, and look at this. I don't know where is it now.
All the way up to 20.
Yep, so it doubled. So I don't think Rivian is bad, but you have to be. If it was to like lose $8, I would cut it. I would take my losses from that personally, but that's just how I would play it.
Shorty, can we check Boeing?
Boeing, I have an order sitting at 68.5. No, Boeing is done. Boeing is below the monthly. It's about to lose the weekly bottom, rejected the monthly. They actually offloaded here on people. This was a trap, right? They went barely above the cloud, 258. And this is, if you know who Jack Welch is, this is his company and his problem. Yeah, so it's probably going 154 very soon. And then I would enable some clouds here. Let's just change the 4 hours to quarterly. And we'll see where the quarterly bottom is. Okay, so, 154 and 107 and then 69 is my target, right? Where I want to buy this company. If they come here, that means the government will intervene, say it, but the government will step in here. So I personally have no interest in long. Just like when I told you guys if you guys recall, Disney was going to bounce when we talked about this. So here was our monthly, remember that? I don't know if you guys recall, I said this has high potential for a bounce, but I had no interest in buying it here. Could I have bought this and drove it? Yeah, of course, yeah. Right. But this is such bad news driven company that a lot of people are looking to buy here, and you're hitting quarterly and a monthly top. I have to give them bad news, but they're about to get destroyed here.
What about Walgreens?
Let's go down to, let's see if we actually find something first, and then let's look at that. Let's look at the one-offs that you guys have, if you don't mind. So Newell Brands, I still have some shares in this. Not some, I have like 4,000 shares that I bought here, and I'm just holding on to this, right? They have some dividends, but what I'm interested in is the capital growth in this, right? If they're able to, let's say, crack 10 and I can make double, let's say it goes to 15, I'm out. You guys can keep it, right? Is there a chance that they can run this all the way to 24? Yeah. Would I get rid of all of my shares at this level? Probably not, right? I would keep some because then it would catch momentum. But I added some of this, right? It's a high risk, high reward, so you have to manage it in the size, but I do have some of this, right? Do you guys remember the WFC? Oh, not WVFC, I'm sorry, not W. Pay attention to this, and what do you see? Guys, their dividends is
Looks like it's gonna go up.
guys, drop.
No, it looks like it maybe is catching support that it wants to go up.
Yeah. This is not a bad level, considering that from October this has been building divergence for up. So probably you want to add some of this, right? So I'll probably look to add a little bit more of WFC. Actually, I will make sure that it's a market buy on Monday.
Is that a Vanguard company?
I don't think so. Let me see. No.
No, I was just trying to figure out because of the V. I've never heard of it.
American Global Apparel and Footwear.
So they
Company.
own Vans, North Face, Timberland, and Dickies. So they're old company.
Oh, okay. That's pretty big.
Yeah. They're a large company, I would say, right? And you guys can read about it, right? Yeah. Financials, but I don't think this is a bad price for it. I'll have to look at the revenue, but as long and the share, they pay a little bit of dividends, nothing great, but they used to have much better dividends. You see the history of it. I mean, look at this. 50 cents in 2022. So, I mean, this is not bad. And right now they're low. That means probably cash is low. But I would look to see what they do here, right? Especially if you can, it's not bad. $500, you're making $450 dividends, and then if you catch any capital, and if you catch some crazy dividends like this, I mean, this is $2.50 a dividends, right? You change this and multiply it by $250 a year. I don't know if you guys get the math, but
that's really good.
That's fucking good.
Yeah, what is the PE ratio of that? That's pretty nice.
Yeah, so I would look to add some of this, see how they do. Right? I have some already. Penn, wasn't that the gaming company? No. What is Penn? I thought it was a gaming company.
It is.
Obviously, I charted the crap out of it before. Is this the one that Microsoft was gonna buy, or am I thinking of somebody else? Oh, I like this. I like this a lot. I thought Microsoft was buying some gaming company. Maybe it's a different one. But... if this has options, which probably does, and it's liquid, I'm gonna add some options. October, $35. So I'll be adding 35 calls probably Monday, and I'll add some shares, maybe $2,000-$3,000 worth in my portfolio. Because if I can get this to 17, it goes 35. I just doubled my money. So I like doubling. Well, that's. Let's see. Yum is there. This is the book. Crap. Big Lots dead. Children's Place. Chewy. Chewy is the company that does something with dogs and cats.
Yeah, they have like a website for dog food and toys and stuff. It's actually a good.
I just don't find anything proprietary though. Like, what's proprietary about that?
Yeah.
It's online only. It's not brick and mortar.
Yeah, so their margins have to be good. Is their sales going down? Are their sales Chewy?
Yeah, I mean, I think their sales should be
God.
good. It is a good company as far as I know.
Here it goes.
Oh, or not.
See, Chiwi, they are also a paid pharmacy, right? For my dog, all the medicines, come via Chiwi.
Oh, they're a pharmacy?
Yeah, they're also a pharmacy. Apart from, selling pet products, they're also a pharmacy for the pets. So the doctors, send prescription to them and they deliver to your home.
Maybe everyone realized that they could also just Sun and Walmart. I know they were doing a lot of expanding though. They literally have opened a warehouse in like my small town.
I mean, it's at a really good. Maybe you
Yeah.
can make. I mean, they can go to $18, which is not bad. You're making $4 and $15, $16 stock, which is good. 20% easy, 25%. I might play some options on this because I know it has options. I traded this option and just add a few shares and options.
Yeah.
I'll do $1,000 on shares and I'll do 500 in options, whatever. I'll play. What are we in April? We'll have to check this one. I think if it catches momentum here, it might go a little bit sooner. So we're in April, May, June, July options. If it has July, I don't know how structured. PTO, and I don't know if you guys remember, we had Peloton on that list a while back. Do you guys recall this? When we talked about Peloton 4, it would pretty much doubled from there, and now it's back to this level. So, oh, hold on, guys, 1 second. No, go. Yeah. Hi. Hold on 1 second. My crazy 2-year-old is super wet. I don't know what the hell he did. Hey, can you take him? What's on his head? Like, why is he sticky? I think he poured honey all over his head.
That's going to be fun to clean up.
Yeah.
I love those little moments.
I think Leslie's, is this Leslie's Pool Supplies? I'm not interested in that. BBA, there's your miso, your friends. Oh yeah, there's a lot of, oof, man, it is at a really nice level. They had some news recently. See what, I'm pretty sure we had this one on our, yep, there it goes. Yeah.
The news was they were taken out of the and Amazon replaced them.
I mean, quarterly, weekly, and the monthly bottom. It's in a decent spot. I don't mind this one. It's packed like this, quarterly, weekly bottom, because it could go to 36. Last time we said on VBA in the spreadsheet, I'm reading verbatim, losing 37 is dangerous. So they lost 37 and they lost pretty much half their value since. Ooh, I like Dollar General. It's just that there carries a little bit of risk. Dollar General was great. Look at that. That's a hell of a bounce. Not here, but touchy. But that was, we had it on our list before.
Oh, it was very attractive at 108, 110 level. I exited recently. I got this at
DG was really, really good here.
They were down like 15% on their earnings date, and they did good on earnings too, if I recall correctly.
I mean, look at their dividends, dude. That's freaking
Yeah.
60 cents. That's pretty good. 250, 3%.
Yeah, the last earnings, led to a free fall of the share, and a lot of people bought it.
I don't know what to talk about.
I wouldn't touch this one here personally. If you got it cheaper, that's good, but not here.
Yeah, I think it was like Reddit hype for earnings, and then everybody got dumped on earnings or something.
Yeah, that time, this stock target is, there was a lot of sale on the stale and other political things.
She's at a really interesting level here. At the quarterly mid and the monthly bottom here.
For Hershey, the risk is coca price, right? For all chocolate companies, at least this year.
The futures are through the roof on cocoa, man.
Yeah.
They are through the roof. I just don't like the weekly top is close here.
I think Hershey's market share is being eaten up by like, YouTuber Mr. Beast and stuff too.
What that is?
It's just like new chocolate that's coming out. That he's always naming them, saying his is better.
He'll be bought out. I'll watch this. I'm not interested at this level, just maybe cheaper, but this is, it's a company that's been a while. So it's been around.
Yeah, definitely well-established company.
A lot of health companies here. I'm not really good with health companies or like bio. If you guys see any that you like, scream. I just don't. I'm not a fan of. Financials, especially not any regional bank.
Paramount?
ENPH. Yeah, EMPH is at a good level, just the weekly is too tight. So anything towards 91 is not a bad buy on. I don't know their financials. I'll have to get into it before I buy it, but say 83 to 93 would be anywhere in between fine level.
What about NQ?
NQ? Like futures?
Yeah.
I'm not looking at that, but I'm looking for shares, guys, first.
Okay.
Shorty, can you check CSIQ? Previously, we picked this one up and we exited, and let's see where it is.
So this one, if you got it on the bottom last time and you hit the weekly top, that was probably good, 18 to 26. Coming back now again, that's the same level. And I think this is also solar, if I remember.
Yeah, it is solar. Yeah, it is solar.
We had CSIQ. Yep. Yeah, we said monthly bottom reclaim of 24 sends it to 32. We'll throw some loose change. I did not buy this. At that time, it was trading in 1976 when we talked about it. So yeah, I guess it was not bad, and it seems to be doing the same crap again.
Yeah, last further. Yeah, no. December we identified this, and then a news came. I think BlackRock invested in the company that propelled the price, and since then it is again backtracking.
They're optionable. I'm assuming they have some liquidity or. Wolf, I think some of you guys might have gotten Wolf. I have some Wolf.
I'm speculating on this. Every time it goes up, I'm selling and waiting for it to come.
Wow, that thing freaking tanked.
This is a solid level for this tank here. They also make chips, right? So they're in a semiconductor business.
Wolf makes chips?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I've heard of them then.
But it's a loss-making company.
Did you say something?
Yeah, I said that it's a net loss company. They're burning cash.
Yeah. If you look here, so you can read about them, but they're at a good level. And if the CHIP Act ever plays out, and I'm sure it will.
Oh, speaking of which, Intel as well, INTC. Government grant and everything recently. They're high actually now.
Should have bought at 25 like I planned to.
Yeah.
But this is not a bad price here. A lot of divergence, a lot of monthly bottom, quarterly bottom. This is a solid level, I think, for a hold. I mean, everything's been running. I mean, look at this, from 142 to this level on the quarterly bottom. So it rejected quarterly top, obviously, here. Now it's in the bottom of the quarterlies and building a massive divergence here right now. I'll probably add, I think my average is a little bit higher on this. Check, I think it's around 30 something. Definitely add this.
Okay, can you check KVUE?
Hold on one second. Let me just see if there's anything else in technology here. If you guys see something you like, Paramount, is that the streaming channel TV? Wow. Holy crap, 110 to $10 they lost. Pretty much everything. Wow. It seems like it's at the range bottom. It can go to 17, but.
Your favorite ES as well.
Say it again. I said something.
Favorite ES one is there.
I can't hear you, Ashley, or whoever is speaking.
Breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, I couldn't make that up.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just sorry. Yeah, I was just joking.
I'm not interested in. It's a very saturated place. I hate the stock. I would not buy it just because I hate it. Eversource. Whenever I type in ES, I can click on it. Okay, so that's all the monthly bottoms, and what I wrote down here, that's the only one I'm interested right now. I'm not trying to go more, and I just added the date and the stocks, right? So from this list, I'll probably look at the MPM, look at some materials. I'll throw some loose change, probably Neo, before I throw in Rivian. I like, VFC, see what they do. I wouldn't mind adding a little bit more. Penn looks very good for options, so I'll probably do that. These two, I would most likely do options on both shares and options. So I'll do that. VBA, I think somebody said they got taken out, S&P or whatever it was. So they'll usually lead some sell-off. Hershey, not yet ready. EMPH coming to a level, if it hits 83, 93, somewhere in between, good average, not bad to add. CSIQ, I think it has a chance to go back to 26, 27. And then I think Wolf, if you research company and financials, might not be bad considering the rest of the semis have been running like crazy. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens to them. And there's quite a bit of divergence, as I showed on that one. I think this will be a full list unless you guys have tickers. Do you want to take a look?
Yeah, KVUE, Kenview.
Plainview?
KVUE.
KE.
No, KV, V as in Victor.
KB.
EV, yeah, first one.
It just does not have a lot of data right now on it. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a buy at any. Yeah, I wouldn't buy it here, but
Yeah, I got the bottom of these after the earnings release. I bought a lot of these, so I was trying to find out where is the top.
probably 21.22. It's very close. 21.93, 22 will be tough for them to get over.
Yeah, and they have a great dividend also, 20 cents.
Can we look at Pfizer when you're done?
Yep. We'll go a little bit higher time frame. Pfizer. So Pfizer here is at the weekly and a quarterly bottom to a penny. Obviously needs to clear this 31.3, and then it can start going and moving. For me, this is a very good, I would say, company that if you go research it, it'd be really difficult to get rid of them. And you can do a little bit deeper research on it. They pretty much own everything. Very old company. So yeah, I still have it. They pay really, really good dividends, and we had one COVID. I wouldn't be shocked to see more. And now COVID's considered flu-like. I don't know if you guys have looked into the new CDC guidelines. They're recommending like flu-like shots.
Yeah, also one of their abortion Supreme Court currently sub judice.
They'll buy the judge.
Shorty, how is IWM levels?
Can you check on Verizon?
Verizon, let's check Verizon. I think we got Verizon really good price. If you guys were in the, when we were doing the scan, I think we talked about this here. I think the morning.
Yeah, we bought it like around 35.
Well, my average is around here somewhere, 33-ish. I can check. But I loaded the boat on Verizon when it came here. So, I mean, we appreciate it. I think that our earnings or something probably spiked it a little bit here, but they also have pretty decent dividends too. So I plan on holding this and T for longer time than now, and I don't want tech to be impacted in the short term. So we're looking, here's your, the bottom. If it goes to 19, which has an opportunity, then maybe trim some and look for an cheaper price to get in. But this looks solid still.
Yeah, Shorty, IWM, please.
So the monthly and the weekly top, I would say, yeah, it looks to be a little bit on the top side. There's a massive, if you look at this consolidation. If you were to draw your FVP here on trading view, you would find somewhere the POC is probably here, 220s.
Yeah, that's correct.
So it'd be, can they crack this above 11 and reject this? Yeah, but 232 is the quarterly top, and they've been trading, quite a bit, like in this range.
Yeah, the 205 is the monthly POC. This month POC is 205.
Oh my God, come on. Well, I was going to Dropbox, but anyways, go get a new mouse. And you see that, value is being built here. Then they decided value shifted lower. They're coming back and retesting that right now. Right here at 208. And that happens to be a monthly top and a weekly top. Longs are not here. At least not for me. Longs will be around 184 if you want to stay, if they don't crack that, right? But I don't see any buying in the small caps.
So what is a good level to short it? Two options.
It would be here.
Hmm.
It would be right here, right now. And if you're shorting with options, right? You will have to put your stop loss above 220, and you would have to, if you're playing $10 risk, that means you got to be playing $30 profit. At least that's how I look at it. And 208, if you go from here to here, probably not bad, right? Puts you right in the range of that. So I think this is fairly close to the top here. And then you see SPYs above them all. So SPYs a little bit stronger than them. Qs, Qs are, not sure why this cursor defaults to the right. See, so this did not execute here. So they're at the weekly top. So it's shifting higher, obviously, but they completed this monthly top. They went above. So if Qs were to come back to 412, like this area right here, 412 to 48, that's set up for an explosion. So FYI, they have a lot of potential to pop from here. And they would, a lot of people would be excited for short, right? And if you look into this, is probably some kind of high volume node, right? Sitting right here. Squares, I guess, today. I would definitely watch this right here. Okay. Any other tickers, anyone?
XLU?
XLO?
No, XLU. Yeah, that's it. Right.
Utilities. I mean, they have to crack over 68 to go to 74. This is a big level here. I mean, their weekly top and the monthly mids here, high chance they're going to come back 62 and 59 from here.
Yeah, I got it at 59 a few weeks back.
Which is not bad. XLC, I still have some XLC here. I don't know if you guys remember, whoever's been here longer enough. I've added some here. Very close to getting out of it, 100% out of it. XLC had Google, a lot of Google in it. A lot of other
And Facebook. And Facebook.
Facebook's, yeah. So this was good, but this is not a place for me to add. This is my opportunity to get rid of it. And I think I have maybe I think I have a few more weeks before I can kind of have some benefits on taxes here to get rid of it.
So it is pretty close to a nice shorting level.
This is at this is quarterly top, weekly top. Definitely not. This is not where I add any of it. If you guys bought some here, this is not a bad. Get rid of it.
And how is Amazon?
Amazon is also at the top, so everything. So it's at the quarterly top. Actually, I might something here. I might short Amazon. I'm gonna short Amazon.
In terms of clouds, are you closed above?
Again?
In terms of the clouds, are the clouds on the top are closed or they are still open on this?
Let me check here.
This entire tech sector looking a very juicy short at this time.
Oh, Amazon daily clouds, super closed. Amazon loses 178.
Check out AMD as well.
178 and gets in trouble.
AMD we're at 1 month bottom near it, but
It can't be at the bottom. AMD at the bottom of monthly? There's no way.
for 1 month, not 3 months.
AMD's at the top of weeklies, monthly tops coming. AMD's going to 160 here. I'll take that bet with anyone, whoever wants it.
What is the range on that cloud? That's 3 month, right?
Which one?
The monthly bottom would be, yeah, that would be 3 month. Okay.
Monthly bottom is like 69-ish. They're going 160 on this.
It has a weekly full send.
What time frame? Like
on weekly. At least it's showing on mine.
what's your, is it 20 years or what do you have for like the, should be 5 years probably on yours.
I have 3 years.
Okay, that's fine. Check. On AMD?
Yeah,
See it.
unless I'm setting my settings are wrong.
No, well, it could be that it's mine. I have 3 years weekly.
3 years.
Oh, I don't even have the study here. Sorry. I don't have the study enabled on this. Let me check AMD here on my. I see it. Yeah. I see it. It's a high probability too. But it can't go all the way to 160, which would be a backdoor on the monthly. At 160, things get really spicy here.
Yeah, it's trying to find support, but I don't.
If it goes to 160, and let's say you're short, this is a really dangerous level to be in because AMD has a monthly top at 158.82, a full send with high probability on the weekly. If you're short, you have to make sure you get the hell out as we approach.
And the NVDA?
It's not worth looking at it. I mean, it came to quarterlies here, and since then they went $900 up.
It's so insane, dude.
Yeah. What's their dividends, like 4 cents?
So, my God, 100.
So any other stocks?
You check Baba?
Yeah, Baba's good. I have Baba. So Baba's here, right? I mean, this is a big level here right now. Weekly mid, they have to eventually, once they crack 84, it's basically free space to 110. But as long as they're holding, let's say the 66-ish level up to here, that's good. If they lose that, then they're going to be hitting the 59, which they bounced from previously to 120. But it looks like it's consolidating heavy. I don't see a ton of, divergence on it, the weekly, but if you go on the monthly level here, on the monthly clouds, monthly everything, there's a lot of support right now in this range between, and if you're holding this for a longer times than, a year, this would be the level actually to add because this is going back, way back, right? And at a major support. I have some, I think my average is around 70, somewhere 70 and some change. So I'm looking to see what they do here, but it's prepping in my I think it's prepping for around at least 110, 120. And that'll be good, $50 a share. That'll be solid.
Thank you.
84, 85 is going to be a big level. All right. Any questions so far on this? I'll share the link to the shares with you guys so you guys see it. And then if I do end up, I'm probably gonna do some calls Monday on Pan and Chewy. 100% gonna do those. I will add VFC. I don't know. I keep saying W. And I'll probably throw some loose change on the Neo NIO. It's not bad, and I'll have to do some due diligence on MP for myself just to see what is it that they do, type of materials. And somebody said the Chama dude was all over it in the spec, so that kills it a little bit. So I'll take a look at it, but I wouldn't mind throwing some change also at Amazon options just because they're at the quarterly top. So maybe catch some retracement on that. Let's see if we can maybe play $30 out, like 150 puts for some time out and see what happens, right? Okay.
Hey, Shorty.
Do
I'm sorry. I may have missed it. You may have covered Apple, but I'm wondering what I should do with my shares.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't tell you what to do with the shares, but Apple, if you look at it right here, right, it is at the monthly top, and it's bouncing off a monthly mid to a penny right now. See it right here. So if it does lose 168.48 here, it's going to 140.88. So that's about $20 drop.
All right, that's what I was debating.
Yeah. So I mean, you just have to know, if you got it at, I don't know, something crazy, $30, $40. That's different, right? But if you got it at 140, you're losing some gains. High chance you will not break even on the trade, right? So it's sometimes the way I trade it is like AT&T, where I said I got it at about $13, $14, somewhere in between. If it goes to 20, right, and I see resistance, well, I can take that off, right? Sell, get some capital gains. I collect some dividends, and then if it dips back to like 16, 15, I can buy it again. It just depends, are you on a short, on a long-term investment that you're holding? Apple, obviously, I mean, it's not going anywhere, right? But I haven't seen a lot of, even if you look at their financials, they're not growing. They're becoming more stagnant.
Right.
So, and Warren Buffett trimmed some position, not a lot, right? But he still owns a lot of shares of Apple, right? It would take significant selling, and you would know selling aggressively.
Thanks, Shorty.
Can you check out Riot, RIOT?
This is one of the Bitcoin stocks or something like that.
Yeah, Bitcoin miner.
Yep. So, I mean, it went to the monthly bottom to a penny. Now it's at the monthly top to a penny. If you want to break out, it's going to happen over 1916. Ending at 10 and it holds, it's good. But you see, I mean, look at these. These are monthly candles, right? If you look at it, doesn't look bullish. So they're hitting weekly top monthly. So if it cracks 14, it goes to 18. But there's some seller. There's a lot of resistance right now. It's much easier for it to visit 10 and 9 than it is to crack 14 at the moment.
Gotcha.
A lot of overhead here.
Do you mind looking at KHC, please?
KHC, the crafts?
Yes, thank you. No, Hein. Yeah, Hein. Yeah.
Yep, so they're at a big level too, right? This is a pretty good company, right? If you guys look at, the filings of Warren Buffett, he also has a little bit of left in his portfolio. It's a solid company, right? If you can catch these bottoms like 34 and you can drive it, it's just that it moves like a fucking snail. Like you're gonna be watching it for years and it moved $2. So you have to be quite patient on this, right? So if you look here, like it went all the way to quarterly bottom at 23 and it moved $10 since, right? So since 2020 to here, $10. Good gains, right? But it's just, it's no other than a long-term hold. So it will have to crack this now about 37, and then it goes to 42. At 42, not a bad get out. If I had a lot, I would probably close it there and look to re-add at 32. At least how I would play it.
All right, thank you.
All right. I say let's take a 5-minute break, just stretch out. I'm gonna get some water, and then we can do the footprints class, and we could probably be done within an hour or so, and then we can take some questions on that. Is that fair?
Thank you very much.
I'll just take some water.
Yes, sounds good.
Just give me a moment. All right. Be back in 5 minutes.
Thanks.
Hey guys.
Welcome back.
Let's just close some stuff down. Share. Go into footprints. All right, so in terms of footprints, I'll just start from the beginning. Different platforms have different setups, right? So Sierra chart is probably the most.
Your screen's not on.
It's not on yet. Let's see. Let me know if you guys see it now.
Yeah, it's good.
So I would say Sierra chart is probably the most advanced, and I think some of you guys might be using Quant Tower. That one is pretty good so far. You have Ninja Trader, and we do have some packages that we were able to get from Dale. He shared his footprints and setups with Knowledge Seeker, and he was able to kind of package that up. I think it was, don't quote me, maybe $100 for all of it. You still have to buy the data or connect to it with Ninja Trader, so you don't have to pay. I think it's like $15 a month for the data, but you have different providers, right? And some of us have Ninja. I've had Sierra. I do have Ninja Trader, and you can also use Quant Tower, and I believe some of you guys use Quant Tower, and it's easy to set up. If you guys need help, I can go over it. But when it comes to footprints, and a lot of you guys make it more complex than it needs to be. It's really not a trading strategy. It just gives you the ability to see when the big orders and where the volume is coming in. And then the most important piece about footprints is who's showing aggression, right? And then you're able to see that as the charts come up. And as we're trading, and then when I trade live, this is something you guys should be paying attention to when I'm calling out certain levels and when I'm seeing orders come in. You know, we've had a few opportunities of past 2 weeks where we saw some large orders and people are getting in short, and then we saw bounces, 20 or so points on ES, and one of the levels on ES was like 67.71, and then they've held it there multiple times, and massive bid came in at the bottom, and that indicated a lot of other time frame buyers stepping in and taking advantage of the price that was trading below. Just like anything else that we do, at least in my trading, volume, price, and size is pretty much what matters, right? Because the price, time, and volume, I would say, equal the value. And when you think about the value shifts, and you can correlate these footprint charts with your major levels that you identify based on volume or TPOs. If weekly value area high is sitting, let's say, at 5,300. And as you're coming, you go to 5,340 and you're coming back to 5,300, you're looking to see what the footprint chart is going to show you at that level. Is it going to be more aggressive sellers? Are we seeing bid at the bottom and the price is failing to break that? And you're always looking the footprint charts in terms of context. It's not an isolated view of a candle, or especially if you're on lower time frames like 5. You can't look at it just one time frame candle and be like, I'm going all in and I'm going to go. You have to look to the left to see if there's any absorption happening. And that's kind of what we're going to cover here, right? You're going to have absorption. What does that mean? You're going to have divergence, delta flip. What is a stacked imbalance? And then HVN. You guys should be familiar, or cluster volumes. And then it's just some key points when you're approaching a certain support or resistance level. You want to pay attention to what is happening on the actual footprint charts. So for most of you guys that, how does it really look on a tape? On the left side, you'll have the bid, right? And on the right side, you'll have
the ask.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to find this pen. Right, so here you will have the bid, right? And that's, here, and then you'll have the ask. And you will have two sets of players on each side, right? On the ask, if you're approaching resistance, you'll have passive sellers sitting there, and they provide the liquidity in the ask. Does everybody understand what that means?
Yes.
there anyone that does it?
Yes.
Okay, so if this is our price, and let's say free is like, man, I'm a sell. This is, let's say, AMD stock because they were at this level not too long ago. And at 108 level, free is like, man, I will send 600 lot of this share. Well, if free waits here, and price eventually goes out, these buyers take out all these sellers, and they come here, and her ask is 108, and she gets it. Does that make her a passive seller or aggressive seller?
Passive.
Passive.
Definitely passive, but in the same scenario, same price, she's asking for 108. Let's say she's like, okay, well, somebody offers 107.5, and she takes it for 600 a lot. What does that make her then?
Aggressive.
That's correct. It would make her fairly aggressive, right? Because then she would not be the price that she wanted. She's shifting that to, let's say, 107, just for purpose of example. I mean, she's willing to lose, right, $600 on this trade or less in terms of revenue. That makes her aggressive seller, and most likely you would see her on the bid, right? That means that she's selling here aggressively and lowering it. Passive sellers provide liquidity on the ask. Aggressive buyer, they take away the liquidity from these people. As aggressive buyers bid up the price, right, they're probably hitting some, limit sellers that are sitting there. If there's an iceberg order sitting here, right, and these aggressive buyers are buying, and the price is not going higher, what would you call that?
Absorption. Absorption.
That's a definition of absorption. And the same thing happens on the bottom. If they're selling, right, you get these aggressive sellers that are coming in, right? They're selling a bid, and you have the passive buyers sitting on the bid. And let's say there's an iceberg, large order sitting here. Well, passive buyers, they provide the liquidity, right, in the bid, and the aggressive seller, they take away the liquidity. So if these boys are selling right here and they're hitting a major buy level, just like we saw some, like Wolf looked pretty good like that. They're selling, but they're not able to break a level. That means that somebody, anytime they come, they just get filled. They bring, they get filled, bring, get filled. And eventually, when there's no more inventory to sell and it's been bought up, the stock naturally has to go up, right? Just to catch up with the liquidity and then the inventory. Okay, does this make sense, this chart at all?
Yes, sir.
Anyone confused? So this is what basically a footprint chart is. For a lot of you guys, I think you get so thrown away with numbers and stuff that you forget the simplicity of it, right? This is pretty much, I would say this is it for you guys. You have to understand this chart where it's at, and then whatever time frame, right? I personally use 30 minutes to assess the movement of the stock, and I look for certain things that we'll catch here in the next couple of slides. But this is the majority of it, all right? And I think we just covered, I guess, indirectly this slide as well here. So for the price to move down, right? If we want the price to move down, what has to happen? Well, these sellers, they have to absorb all of these buys at 50 level, and then they would have to go to 98. They will have to take these guys, and so on, right? But for the price to move up, what has to happen? We have to get a buyer that can absorb 75 lot at $100. So if this guy's like, okay, well, I'll go market with you, and they absorb it, then they're hitting the next level at 101. Does that make sense? It's just a fairly simple auction with size. Okay. On the next slide, I think I explained this pretty much what I just explained to you guys here in terms of the passive sellers on the ask, and then you have aggressive buyers on the ask, and then on the left side on the bid here, this cursor is aggressive sellers and passive buyers. If we did not have two options here and two options here, trading would be quite easy, right? Especially with footprint charts, it would be the holy grail of trading. But you still have to account for, passive sellers at the resistance, or, It could be buyers coming in aggressively. That's why you have to watch for imbalances and what's actually happening to the candles on the left. See if there's any imbalances that were sell side and you're revisiting them. And now you see ask being increased. There's a high chance that's a limit seller sitting there defending his position. If you get absorbed over that, that means the buyers were so aggressive that they took out all the selling inventory that was available at that level. Any questions on this slide? Okay. When you think about footprint charts, and a lot of people, I personally don't understand why some of you guys get really, really confused in terms of what is happening, right? So if you take a look at these candles, right, each one of these candles is representing what you're seeing. What we are able to see in addition to a regular candle here, maybe it's 30 minutes, instead of seeing only the open, close, high and low, you're able to see where's the volume, right? Like here, right? Where's the concentration of volume here? Where's the low volume node? Where's the value area of that candle, right? If you see here, the dark area, I'll show more detail, but if you see here, this is where they're happy trading. They're not happy trading here and here. Until they accept value higher, like they did here, obviously it's not going to go higher. So once they accept it and they came back, and you see how they held this level here. They reflected it, and then you see the aggressive selling. You probably can't see the numbers, but you see the pickup number in red, and volume is in the millions. It's probably a daily chart. And they went below this level, and look where they're going to. The lower green zone, and I'm skipping a little bit, but this green zone that you see here is called the stacked imbalance. This right here is called a stacked imbalance. That means in the row you have 3 imbalances on the aggressive buy side. And typically, footprint traders would say this is where the initiation of a trend occurred, or this is where emotional aggressive buyers stepped in. And usually when you go away from it and you come back, especially on higher time frames, that becomes a good zone for buying, because they're most likely going to try to defend their positions. And typically what they do on 30 minutes, or if you play 5 minutes, they do it a little bit more often, is they like to dip through this zone, then reclaim it and go. And usually I below the zone, I give them about 3 points on ES. On NQ, you have to play a little bit differently just because it moves like it's on drugs. But on ES, usually 3 points is enough, depending on what what's the ATR for the day. If you're consolidating within previous day value area, you don't probably have to give them as many points for such. But if you're in a trend day or volatility is high, then 3 points, 3 to 4 points, not bad to play below that. Any questions on this?
Is there a way to see the ATR for the day?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's an indicator on trading. I think we went over it once. Yeah, there's an ATR for the day.
Okay.
Okay. Delta, don't confuse this delta with the delta on options. It has nothing to do with it. Okay. The delta that we are measuring is basically the ask minus the bid. If it's positive, that means there's more buying at the ask versus at the bid, then it would be more selling. Does that make sense? More aggressive sellers, not more buyers or sellers. There's never necessarily more buyers or sellers in the stock market. Just like you can't have more buyers on an auction for a car, you can only have one if it's one car that's being sold. Okay. What I use on delta is basically I'll look for anomalies, right? I'll look to see where you have a green candle with negative delta, shows divergence to the downside, and we've seen quite a bit of these, and you guys see them probably throughout the day, where the candle went up, but the delta is showing like negative, let's say 300 on 5 minutes, and usually you're looking to see is there any ask that comes in on the right side, or if there's any bid that's inflated and the price is trading below it. That's probably a sign of top, especially if the volume is slowing down as the auction is going higher. That means the interest on that auction on the number of buyers is very low. So you're watching for that. And the opposite is true as well for red. I would say you have to be, the best way to pick this up more and look at the divergences is honestly spend time with the chart itself, right? You're going to have a lot of hidden divergences that happen, right? If the candle opened, let's say negative 400 delta, and it closed at negative 15, that's not necessarily very bearish, right? That means that they absorbed a lot of the sellings and they're able to bring it up. There was a lot of buyers that stepped in and absorbed it. So you have to pay attention to what's happening at open, at close of those candles, and where's delta, so you understand what actually happened. Was there, did we start below delta and we ended with high delta negative, or is it vice versa? The same is true for green. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. On a cumulative delta, right? Just because lately we've had a lot of, I would say it comes back to a level, and then you see a rocket makes higher highs, changes the character on the stock market. I've added a cumulative more often than not because I'm able to see if there was a negative flip, let's say negative 1,000, and then we're getting a lot of bid at this candle here, and I'm seeing cumulative delta go from negative 1,000 to positive 50. Then I'm looking for see where's the sell-off came in. If there was any aggressive sellers or trapped sellers on the bottom, I'm looking to buy above them to ride it higher, right? So that's how I kind of look for the cumulative delta. As we're going higher, I want it to keep growing, right? I want to make sure the buyers are still interested, even at higher prices. The delta, cumulative delta, is not slowing down. If you see, for instance, let's say we go negative 1,000 and we go to 4,000 up top, right? And then you see this number dropping to like 2,200, or let's say 2,000, dropping to 1,500, and the price is not dropping. What would that tell you?
Absorption.
That's some absorption happening, but if the price is not cracking, let's say where the aggressive, if you right here, you had a stacked imbalance, right? There's a lot of selling and you're not cracking this right here. That could be, there's some profit taking and then there's some limit sellers, but until you crack a key level from your prior candle, you're not necessarily entering short. You need some confirmation that, the price is going to go based on what the delta is doing as well. Some people enter fairly blindly. Oh, delta negative 4K, it's 1,500. We're going to sell off its distribution. Well, a lot of times you can also get played, right, where they do this and then crack. So you're always looking at the context to the prior candles and see if there's an LVN, HVN, or if there's some stacked imbalances prior. So you're looking to take that opportunity, maybe to take it long, especially if you see this, let's say it's 1,500 positive, and you come here and then you see some buyers stepping in, that becomes a good buying opportunity, even though there are some sellers that took this. If these sellers took that, then most likely those sellers were able to buy it on the bottom, and they're just closing some of their positions. Does that make sense? Okay, does everybody understand what delta is?
I have a question.
Yes.
A question on the divergences, the anomalies. Do you wait for the candle to close before you
Yes.
establish the return? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
always.
All
Especially on lower time frames, because if you're watching for like completed auctions, you can't tell if an auction completed if you're not letting it run out the time, right? So you have to get in the habit of, when I trade live, I'm like, hey, the auction looks to be incomplete on the bottom as of right now, but it has a minute left and they can change that, right? If they get in buyer seller. So you do want to see candle closes before you make a decision.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. We covered the first point. I covered this, right? Does anyone have questions on type of these deltas, right? Does everybody understand? This is basically your current delta that you see here, right? Ask minus the bid. And then the volume is just the total number of contracts for the time frame that you're on. If you're 5 minutes, it's definitely not going to have same volume as 30 minutes. And it's good that you get familiar with what you're expecting to see on the time frame you're trading, because if you're in 5 minutes and you see 1,500 contracts come in at bid and price is not going lower, That's a big sign somebody's coming in and buying stuff, right? There's a lot of bid there. Max delta shows you what was the highest delta for the time frame that you're on, and this just does the opposite, right? What is the lowest delta, right? And there's quite a different views between this, right? If the max delta was, let's say, 1500 and the delta closes a negative 200, that's not a little bearish. That's pretty bearish, right? That means somebody had to absorb all those buyers that were positive buying heavily, and they were able to flip that and close in a negative territory on delta. That's a big difference, right? And that's why I say you have to pay attention to pretty much every candle and see how it's progressing with volume, delta, max, min, so you know, is it absorption, are they selling, and is it a bullish or bearish close on that candle itself? Okay. Any questions on the type of delta here and the pieces on historical? Nope. Okay. This covers the example that I just talked about. Delta was 50 and closed negative or positive deltas. That means there are some aggressive sellers that basically sold off quickly. This is bearish, and then it gives you the scenarios as well. High volume areas, this is no different than volume because, right, footprints show you the number of contracts traded at those levels. So if you're looking at high volume areas between volume and footprints, they should match. Does that make sense? It's the same story, it's just graphical representation is different. One shows you the contracts, the bid and ask or imbalance, whatever you're using. And one is just showing you total volume traded at that price. That's volume profile. Everybody on okay so far? Okay. When you're playing, right, high volume nodes as such, right, a lot of people are confused, like, well, if you're trending up, let's say you're making higher highs, but let's say instead of just quick bounces like this, you go here and then you're consolidating here and you're in a trend. This area here where they consolidated, you're watching to see what they do out of it, right? If they pop above it, right, as the price goes lower right here, what do you think you should do here?
Going down.
Sorry?
You go back up with it. You get in from there when
you're
it comes
looking
back.
for opportunity to get in.
Right.
Then you start looking for opportunities to look at the footprints and see, are you getting any bid on the left side? As you're approaching these levels, you find the POC if you're using FVP or whatever. You're looking to see, as you're approaching this key zone here, are there any buyers coming in to defend? If you see aggression on buying, I mean, you can play this, right? These are, I would say, high reward trades, especially in a trend like we've been, where you can play these until the trend reverses, right? You know, your weekly time frame starts framing down and the daily's framing down. Those are signs of bearishness, right? And a lot of people, I don't know, was it like last week or this week? A lot of people were bearish. If you recall on ES, I mean, when I say a lot, I just look at Twitter posts and everybody's swinging puts prematurely. I just said we're not below 67, 71 zone. You have no reason to be bearish. For instance, and that time, if you guys remember, that was an LVN on a weekly profile, on a weekly B profile shape. So if that's on LVN, right, and it looked like this, right, it looked like we were basically watching for this zone here. So instead of looking for a high volume node, we were looking for a low volume node. And why are we doing that? Why are we focused on a low volume node on a B shape on a weekly profile?
Retail?
Okay. Anyone else?
To see if they would go to the single prints and then hit the other distribution level.
Okay, that's very good. That's probably the primarily reason why. So let me share a chart a little bit so you guys can understand it.
Yeah, NQ had a really good one.
Oh yeah.
5-4.
I'm just gonna share mine just so you guys can correlate what I'm talking about. I will change this a little bit to 4. So now if you guys go here, So here's the zone, right? If you guys remember, oh, this is the latest one. I'm sorry. There was this zone here. This is the zone that we're looking for, and that's what I'm showing. This is considered a high volume node. In high volume node, what does it tell you about buyers and sellers? Are they happy or not happy in high volume nodes?
Happy.
They're happy. It wouldn't be called high
Happy.
volume node because it would be low volume node if they were not happy. So this right here, they were fairly happy. They cracked above it. And then the separation of the volume profile in this case was right here. Right? So we'll mark this with yellow. And that means the other value, the higher value, was being held right here. And I think I actually drew these boxes one of the watch lists, if I recall it. We talked about this, right? Where they split. Let's remember, but we drew identical boxes. And we talked about, hey, if we crack below this low volume node, what does it mean in terms of value? It most likely means the value is going to shift lower, and there's a high probability that we would hit this level 5235. You can find this in your Shorty's corner. It was mentioned on the levels. Otherwise, we're targeting to hit probably somewhere at the bottom of the weekly in the value area low, which was sitting at 5195-ish or so. And look what they did. They came back here, right? If you look at this, they came back here and they defended that. And they did a really decent job of defending. And then you zoom in and you're trying to figure out, right, if you're to go on LVN, what would you look for here? If you're to go on the footprints, what would you look as you're approaching this level? As you're approaching major support, what would you guys look for?
Change in delta.
Change
A bid.
one of them. I would specifically watch to see if we get bid, right? If they're going to drive it up. And if you go back, there was massive bid at 63, 67, right? I think it was somewhere around here they had, and then they reestablished 67. And then we said, if you crack over 71, and look where they bounced, right? At 71, there's a high chance you're going to crack and make a new all-time high. That was my idea of what we plan on doing. And now you see something that's happening here, and then I want to see who can basically analyze it for upcoming week. This is your prior week. This is your lower volume. You're still above it, just like I showed. What is last week showing you? This is very good, and it should be probably a chart in my PowerPoint.
They defended that single print area.
Okay. Well, this is your current weekly profile or last week's profile. Is it not giving you some more info here?
It looks like they rejected the top.
Okay, what else?
Double distribution.
They're right below that high volume node at the top, and likely maybe go back down to that green highlight that you made.
In this volume node here. They're trading in a prior high volume node that they did not like, right? So before, they came here and they rejected, they went lower and they defended where they needed to. But now if you look, they shifted this. Isn't this the new split? This zone right here. What does this mean now? Let's see, orange sounds good. What is this telling you?
Want to go lower?
Oh, it looks like it bounced. So.
Well, it's the same setup as it was right here. Was it not? Was it not the same setup? Range on this candle is much lower, right? Then we did put in a lower high here. So if we were to crack this right here to the bottom, I would want to see us below, I would say this level right here, 91. If we're able to go below 91, things change, and I think it becomes a drastic change than what we've seen before. That means we rejected the value twice higher. They're going to have to seek for buyers somewhere else, and you don't find new buyers higher, right? You're looking to find new buyers or people that are interested in this somewhere cheaper. So probably cheaper than this, I would say, and most likely I would target somewhere around this level here, 35 to, I would say, maybe 40. This would be the range that I would be targeting next if we were to lose 91. That's about 60 point drop on ES. Okay. So as of right now, your weekly's framing up, but at these points right here, like this level right here, you're looking to see what does your bid and ask, what are they doing? If you're getting to the bottom of it, you're looking to see a number that's larger on a time frame that you're trading here. And then if you see that, then you're looking to see if there's any aggressive sellers to step in on the buy side, right? So you want to see some imbalances followed by the bid, right? Once people see the large orders came in, they typically do what to large orders? Rockets does it a lot.
He joins them.
Yeah, you join them, right? So if you see that there's a bid and then you see aggressive buyers, well, these buyers are following the bid and they hop in and they look to drive. So that's what I would pay attention to this zone. It's really, really congested profile in terms of comparison to other, right? Right here, I mean, 57 points for the week. Prior week on the imbalance side that we had, you're talking about 100 double. So it's very bullish, constructive, bullish setup, right? You're holding where you had to hold for bulls and you went higher, you didn't crack new high. If you hold this level, we're going to crack new all-time high. And then, I'm not going to go into it, but you could determine some of this stuff like levels, maybe using some fibs from here to here, and then you would have the next set of levels that you're targeting here. And they could be going, once they clear this level right here and 61.8, it's blue skies. So everybody can correlate when I said HVN, LVN. Does it make sense a little bit with this? You guys able to connect the dots?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so let's
So,
see.
so question.
Mhm.
So when in that example, the price is coming down and you're watching the bid. If limit buyers are stepping in, at least initially, you're actually going to see delta drop. Is that right?
That's correct. That's correct. Yep.
Well, I think that's a mistake I've been making.
That's correct. Because when you look at it, they're coming in at the bid. They're just going to be counted as -1.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to pay attention to price relative to that bid. If the price is staying above the bid, then those are probably limit buyers. If the price is going aggressively below that level, right, then it could be that those are aggressive sellers coming in. But typically when you have major zones like these, right, they should work 70% of the time in alignment to what you're seeing in terms of trend.
Okay.
And that's why I say the context of the candle cannot be standalone.
Yeah.
It has to be including other candles, and it has to include where's the price relative to that bid. If you're getting bid at the bottom and price is 10 points below it, something's not right. It doesn't seem to be the buying. And something interesting on the weekly here. Does anyone see it? Before I move on to the PowerPoint.
About distribution?
Say it again.
A poor high?
Ah, very good. Yeah, that's a poor high 2 weeks in a row. You have a poor high here, and then I would say this is most likely a poor low in my world. Some of you guys will say it's 2 TPOs, but in terms of context, when you came back here, I would want to see a little bit more aggression on the buying when you dip to this level. I would say necessarily they didn't do it in that fashion here.
Quick question. It's a poor high because it's not a excess high, right? Because
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
So it's poor high because you have 2 TPOs at the top. That means there was no clear winner who got it. If there was an auction on a car at the top, nobody got the car.
Thank you.
And they'll have to come back and resolve it. And then they're going to be like, okay, man, I'll offer you a little bit more for this car. Okay, you're a winner. Here you go. Completed auction. You see 0. And then most of the time that's, completed auctions indicate a trend end, right? It means reversing trend most likely to start.
Thank you.
Welcome. So does this correlate to everyone, HVN and LVN? Some people discount the LVNs, but LVNs play a same role as high volume areas. You can also get, as you did, right? We were not able to go above on HVN, but the LVN was support. And a lot of people that trade volume profile, they only focus on HVN where the high volume is, but low volume is where the value shifts, right? Because if it was low value area, that means we did not spend a lot of time or volume at that level, most likely. And at what levels do we not spend a lot of time in terms of traders and other time frame buyers?
Advantageous.
Exactly, the advantageous levels. When the price is advantageous, they don't, they're not going to call a shorty and be like, hey man, I'm thinking about buying this, and man, their orders are in, they're executing. They don't wait, right? And they grab whatever they can grab at that level. And just think about it. Let's say they bought 1,000 contracts here at, we are in 2-week balance now in the upper portion of it. If they're selling here, well, next time, let's say if they don't show up here, if they want a better price, they could cause some damage if they don't buy here and go lower. And then dip below here could give them a nice bounce here at 51.80, trap some sellers here, and then you're basically playing a 2-week balance here. And look at this level right here. It's pretty massive. 3-week POC right here. I would probably say this is a monthly developing POC at this point. So 52.35. They're to come here. A lot of people that were short most likely will close, and then people that are buying the reversions to the mean, they're going to be buying here. So it'd be a double effect here, right? And you see here, double profile at the top, and look where we're trading right now. You have this one and you have this one. In between, you will have some giant candles here, and here's one, right? This was an LVN candle that popped above, and now they're holding here. So if they crack that level, I think it was 91 or so, or somewhere there. I said 91. They have space to drop here, right? But they're just accepting values higher. I mean, to me, this is still bullish, right? I can't say it's bearish, but they're shifting value. And the only thing that's different in terms of the trend that you see here, and I just want to make sure you guys point, is the value area shifts that are occurring. Higher, a little bit of overlap, and then what happens here?
Higher.
I mean, it shifted value area high a little bit. The POC shifted, right? But it's a major overlap in terms of value area. So the auction is slowing down a little bit compared to others, because if it wasn't, right, we should be building as they are right now. They got to build. If they want to go higher, they should not be cracking below these levels right here. And I guess that's 95. I am more particular about this. They should not crack below 91.75. If they can hold this, that's bullish for them. And then when you look at small details, and I'm just giving you a dump now of details. You look at this IB super tight. What happens on super tight IBs? Most likely trend days. This one right here on Wednesday, I mean, I think that was wasn't that one of the news that triggered it? Maybe not, but you see the IB is pretty wide. They went below, they failed the IB, and then they executed, failed IB auction, and they went higher. And now you see here, this is a very interesting IB. They went above, they didn't like it. They went to IBL, bounced perfectly, and look here. They rejected the IBH right now. So in terms of Monday, what do you guys think can happen? What does IB tell you in the class, on the notes, on the bottom right, on the profile? What did it tell you about the IB? I posted it in the chat a few times when this came up not too long ago.
I don't understand the question.
What
was the question?
Based on IB that happened on Friday or Thursday, what do you expect Monday?
Well, it failed to hold the IB, so it'll revisit the other one, IB low.
And it did that, and it closed at the lows. So it went above. This is a failed auction, and it says in the PowerPoint, it says most likely the next day you're gonna continue in the opposite direction of where you failed. Meaning they failed here. This is your IB high, IB low. They failed to build value above it. Most likely they're gonna do this on Monday. 78% of the time it occurs in the stock market. So we're watching to see. I'm not building my bias super bearish because on a weekly profile, I'm aware of this, but there's a high chance that they could. How nice of a trap would this be? You crack this again, just like you did prior week, right here. You cracked, maybe I should try. They went below it, and what happened? Phew, rocket. Well, could they not do the same again? Yeah, probably, right? They played this IB out, and they come back here, and then they hit this level. Let's say they bounce at 85, 10 points below, and then they execute higher. That's what I would watch for. And in correlation to footprints, footprints is not a strategy. It gives you the view where they're buying and selling. I would expect them to buy here. And if you get a lot of sellers that are aggressive, like somebody mentioned, let's say we get bid, but the price continues lower, I would pay attention to this level here, 52.87, see what they do. Once they lose prior week POC, then you know they're targeting 64. Losing that 64, that would most likely start a little bit on a different time frame, like maybe on a weekly, a different trend, different sentiment, right? So we would watch for this. We know the halfback is sitting right here on ES, and I believe on NQ, don't quote me, I believe we tapped the halfback perfectly on NQ. So I think the halfback was somewhere around here, actually. We can check, but I have to adjust all the DPOs. So does that make sense? Everybody understand HVN, LVN, and how to use one? In a bullish trend, when you have an HVN that's coming up, right, then you can go on something on smaller time frames to see this. Right, so the way you can use HVNs and something like this, let's say I'm looking for this top to the bottom right here to see where they're looking potentially to buy or sell, right? You see that they bounced right here initially, and if they're coming back to this HVN, which was right here, there's a high chance they bounce, and they gave you a bounce, right? I mean, 2 points, it's not much. And it came back. It was just a very unusual day for trading, I would say. It was consolidating a lot. And then they came back, right, irrelevant of IBL, and they went. You as a buyer or seller, depending on what your strategy is, you're looking to find LVNs or HVNs in smaller time frames, right? Where are they buying and selling in terms of intraday, right? You can use 1 minute if that's what you prefer. But you can see, for instance, here between, let's say, 3 o'clock and this, you know, it was almost like a double distribution, and they sold off aggressively here. So if they are to come back to this consolidation that triggered a sell-off, which would be somewhere around here, 1375 might not be a bad idea to take a short. They are high chance they peak above it and then they fail, but this would be a good entry for a short opportunity and drive it all the way, let's say, to 06. So that would be an HVN play. Right, and if you see, for instance, you know, there's some single prints in here because of this candle. This would be the zone that's separating the value on this tiny, you know, 336 till 4. This, does everybody understand that this would be the zone that's separating here? There's a lot of LVN here, and if you look at the bid, look at the ask. There's quite a bit, right? It even goes like up here. So this becomes what? How would you play this? Anyway, you have the LVN and you have an HVN. So if they pop above this level here, what would it mean? If they crack 11, there's
go longer.
99% chance you're gonna tap this, right? In this terms of range, that's not a lot, right? 2-3 points. And then at this point, you know that there's a lot of sellers that are aggressive. You're looking for potentially take a short, right? And if you see that it's not cracking this level, probably you want to watch for potential bounce higher, and you want to be careful on a short, how you size up or size down here. But you're watching for this HVNs, and I play HVN setups a lot as well, but I'm aware of the LVNs and where they're not interested in trading. Okay. All right, let me go back to PowerPoint. Imbalances, does everybody know what this looks like? Is there anyone that doesn't? Okay, so there's different imbalances, right? And what that means is when you're reading imbalances on a profile, right? It's reading diagonally, and you're looking to see the ask to the bid. If there's a 3-to-1 ratio, if there's 3 at the ask versus the bid, three times as much on one versus the other, and where's the price, it basically highlights red or green, whatever the colors you have set up. When you have 3 imbalances that are stacked together, or 3 levels stacked together, basically you will get like a nice little zone. Let's say it's a buy side imbalance, right? They went higher. When you get that, you're usually waiting for them, to go higher, and then you're looking for them to come back. So for instance, this probably has some sell side imbalance on this candle. Usually sell side, buy side imbalances occur on candles that extend the ranges or break consolidation zones. Right, I'm pretty certain there would be one on this candle here, and on footprint charts you would go and you would look for aggressive buyers in this case, and let's say it would tell you, yep, we are concentrated. Let's say, sounds like it would be here somewhere based on volume profile, somewhere here, and we can definitely check this on the footprint. So I would look for this zone here. Just giving you an idea, there was a lot of aggressive buyers here. They initiated the trend. So now when the price comes back to this level, right, you would look for opportunities to buy on a buy side imbalance. And I said, typically what they like to do is, and you see it live, and I'm trading, they dip below and then they reclaim, because they don't want these guys to participate here, right? They want to get their liquidity and then they go higher. And the same would be on the sell side, right? Here. So if you go here, for instance, there would be some sell side imbalance on this candle right here, right? And let's say we find that imbalance and they're coming back for a revisit. They come back here. That's, you're looking to short this short side, sell side imbalance, right? And typically, and I'm just giving you what I do, I like to find imbalances in 30 minutes. I know some of you guys trade, if you're scalping 5 minutes, sure, but 30 minutes is pretty good imbalance to play on the buy and the short side, on buy and sell side. So I would definitely encourage 30 minutes time frames for imbalances to watch, right? So you simply do this and you pay attention to, for instance, this candle definitely has, I would say, a sell side imbalance, and on 30 minutes it looks to be here, somewhere around here. How can you tell where's the sell side imbalance just without footprints?
That's what I was going to ask.
That's a good question. Anyone want to attempt an answer?
You can look at the.
Say it again.
Sorry.
Could you look at a candle like a tail?
You could. Well, that would show you the axis, right? That would show you the buying and selling axis. The longer the tail, more likely higher buying or selling axis, depending on where you are, right? For instance, when we had the 68 level, let's see, where was it? We had, at one point, we had a massive axis on the weekly. Forgot where it was. Okay, so this one here, for instance, if you look on the weekly, has like 4, still not a lot, but there's some 4. This one is decent, about 6. Those are indications of other time frame buyers or sellers coming into the market on the tails. When you're looking at low volume nodes on, let's say, if you look at the low volume node, for instance, here, right? When you zoom in, I'm just looking on the right side here, and you look, where's the low volume? I mean, it starts at 288 all the way to 97 on this candle. Does that make sense? This is the one that you're interested. You want to find at what point did this candle have low volume node, and where is it? Because that's where most likely they stepped in aggressively and they drove the price and initiated the trend. And in this case, right, when I'm zoomed in just on this, it looks like it's somewhere at 302 all the way to 94. So pretty wide, and that's where I would look at the footprints to kind of zoom in and find the zone. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be more tighter on, you know, a specific level, because you could have multiple imbalances stacked, and we've seen that. And then the question is, which one do you trust? Well, I don't know. If I knew the answer to that, right, you'd be a billionaire in a short period of time. You have to play it based on the market's giving you, right? So I'm just looking on volume profile without footprints. This looks like the level they came back. That's where they bounced, and that was the level they're watching. And then you see also below here some low volume node, but not nearly as, you know, tight as this one here. And you could also look at the candle by itself, right? If I was to just chart and on volume profile, if I take this candle to this candle and I don't extend this right here, you could zoom in and see, you know, where is the zeros? Where are they occurring? And look, there's a lot of zeros here. I mean, it goes pretty much all the way. So on this one, it would be, I would say, fairly difficult to, the bottom seems to be at 88 or so. And then top, you would have to definitely use footprints to nail the exact aggression where it came in, because it looks like same size as well. Okay. So everybody okay with imbalances?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So that's the imbalances piece of it. And then setting up in Quantar, we can definitely go over that, or Ninja Trader. Footprint guidelines. I would suggest you guys maybe print this out and save it. I use 30 minutes, right? As I explained, I use 5 minutes to enter trades. What I mean by that, if I see an imbalance, buy side imbalance in 30 minutes, that doesn't mean you should blindly put a buy order and walk away and drink coffee. As a trader, it's your job to understand what is happening at that time, and, you know, TPOs, what is being generated at the moment that you're trading in. It's much easier to assess the market once it's done and be like, oh yeah, man, I could have done this or could have done that. You know, the post effect is where a lot of traders are, you know, they want to make decisions. So after something happened and you challenge yourself, why didn't I see this? And that's good analysis. But a lot of people think, oh, when I see this next time, you know, the pattern is going to repeat itself. Stock market does repeat a lot, but it changes a lot. New participants come in, new value shifts. So just because it bounced there previously doesn't necessarily mean it's going to bounce there now. And that's why using footprints on 30 to find those imbalances or aggressive buyers or sellers, and then keying in on 5 minutes is something that I do, right? Doesn't mean you have to follow the same. It's just the guidelines that I have. If you find imbalances, let's say on daily, right, you want to mark those levels. If you see the daily had aggressive buyers and that volume is probably going to be tight, you know, much higher in that imbalance, you want to identify that level and draw it out and mark it for yourself so you know. When you're trading on, you know, the footprints, there are levels that you should be aware of where to expect inflated number of contracts. For me, those are POCs, HVNs, value area highs, value area lows. Especially if you're coming in, for instance, let's say previous week value area low. I think we did something like that on NQ where we came back to previous week value area low, and then you saw some aggressive buyers step in, some bid came in, and then they followed through. So at those key levels that you're identified, let's say on volume profile, like value area highs or monthlies, right? And we prepare for the market Sunday, you will see that once you identify those levels, and then just spend some time, like look at the footprint charts, or if you don't have it, just ask, somebody will post it. And you can be like, hey, can you tell me if there's any unusual order sitting at this level? I would look at this level and somewhere in between this, between 18 and 23, did we get any unusual levels? And you check to see if there was any aggressive sellers or buyers. Market profile would also give you some indication what's happening. You guys already clarified that this is a poor high. We also have a poor low. So when you have a poor high and poor low and a double distribution, how do you know which one you're going to hit first? Careful, it's a trick question.
You don't know, but you know where the POC is?
Yeah, but you will also know where's the value being accepted or not. If they're not accepting value lower, which one are you going to hit?
The higher one, okay.
So you're most likely going to hit this one. If they crack this, right, and you see some aggressive selling on a bid, there's high chance they're going to clean this one up. And ES never touched the halfback and Q did. So you could target somewhere around here that they're going to play this. Does it make sense? So that's how I use these levels, right? And a lot of you guys suffer from not being patient in trading. And what I mean by that is you see, you're looking at the chart, and just because you didn't take a trade, you take a trade. Then later on, let's say you're like, oh shit, I'm not going to trade anymore. But you see a setup that you would take, and you're like, man, this is a good setup for a long, but you don't take it long, and guess what happens? That setup that you wanted to take long works out beautifully, but you were not in it. You were not in it because you traded away, not waiting for it. And you get scared of the market because you're like, oh, market's rigged, market this, but you were not patient enough to wait for it. Does that happen to anyone? Or I'm just talking out of blue?
All the time. All the
Yes.
time.
Yep.
And that's because you guys are drug addicts. Like, I mean, slow down. I promise the market, besides if it's closed like last Friday, it comes back every day. And if you keep losing your capital, you know, there's a high chance you won't. You can only play if you have chips on the table. And a lot of you guys just, it's almost like playing, I don't know if I ever played, let's say poker, Texas. Do you go every hand bluffing? Or do you just raise bet every hand you get? You get 2 and an 8 and you go all in? Probably you're not going to be at that table. You're probably going to spend more time at the ATM. Is there a chance that you can bluff once in a while and take a lotto? Like I took a lotto, lost $280 on Thursday on options. Yeah. Am I gonna go back to my ATM and throw in another 280 the last minute? No. If that 280 didn't work, I'm not gonna try to revenge that and try to make it. I'll make it another day. It should be a planned trade that I recovered at, but my goal is not to recover that loss. My goal is to make a little bit more. So I have to look at the market and prepare, well, what are we gonna do? So when you guys are trading, you have to establish some guidelines on how you want to trade. You know, some people, there's a chance that you won't even take a trade. Somebody that I'm working with in the Discord, I made them take a Thursday day off. They had 3 days prior to that were green. I said, why not finish on a green week? Just take tomorrow off. Friday we're off anyways. And the mental side of that is I finished my, you know, 3rd week in my life green. That's a big accomplishment. Now you need 1 more week, and now you have equivalent to a month that you were green. How many traders can say I've been green a whole month? I was profitable. And then the mentality in your brain will shift. What you did for those 4 weeks eventually starts repeating, but you have to be patient and not wait for. Let them develop. Let them give you idea. And sometimes when I'm trading, I'll scalp, but I'm like, I'll wait for this level to come in. And if it doesn't, like I think Thursday, I got played twice over like a point and a quarter, 2 times. Where it didn't come, it didn't fill, but my idea was there, but my entry was either too low or they wanted it more eagerly and they took it off before I got in. And that's okay, right? I mean, I'm not gonna be mad at them. It's just that there was other buyers that wanted it at higher prices. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. It did what I wanted it from the area that I wanted. It's just that my small details were not aligned and I wanted it cheaper.
Yeah, after at all in a trade like that, because it was off by that much and it doesn't come back down to it, or because I have that issue, like I need to wait for confirmation more. Like that's my biggest thing, I think.
I think that's, I mean, that's every trader, right? Especially when you work for money, right? And you know, unfortunately, this life is becoming more and more, I would say, materialistic, right? Where you have to work, where you know you don't have an ability. The whole system is built around it, into it, but you need the money to live, right? Not a lot of people know how to grow your yard and you know live off of the land. I would say this country would most likely disappear in 30 days if we lost food.
Yeah.
So, and same with trading, right? I mean, you don't get, sometimes for a true setup, sometimes you have one setup in a day. Is there days where I don't see a quality setup? Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, Thursday was pretty rough, right? You had to play the extremes. So you had to wait for the top. I don't know if you guys remember on NQ, I know the levels by heart, right? It was at 16, 16 and a quarter. You could short it, and then it would go to 93. And before I left for lunch, I said 16.93. And I promise they, I don't know how many times they did it on NQ. I feel like all they did that day was 16 and 93. I guess that explains it here. So this was 16 right here, and then the 93 was, trying to find it. Look, they traded, they became below it, and then they rejected it, and of course they went to value area low, which happens to be the POC. And this was annoying, right? But you could make a living off of this. I mean, 93 to 17 is not bad. It's very hard to play, right? In terms of points and speed on NQ, but you could definitely, I played this a few times. Does that resonate with anyone from Thursday? It was an easy level to short and go long, and definitely something you have to pay attention to. And what type of day is this?
Bracketed.
Yep, it's just a typical day, right? Typical more sideways. I mean, they did nothing. They went to a range top. They never went to the range high, IBH. But they went to the lows and they closed at the lows. But they're still, I would say, they're still fairly bullish. We'll see what tomorrow brings. I would say that in terms of day to day, they should be going somewhere. Take this 2-day balance that we're in. Where should they go? It's a B-shaped profile. I'm giving you clues.
3-ish. Just under that.
They should be going here.
Oh yeah, they love that number, 420.
I like that number too. Adjust so you guys can see it. We'll go to 6. Usually like 6. So now, if you go here, oof, there's a lot. So here's your NQ from, if you guys remember, the same thing that happened on ES. Isn't this the identical what happened here? It was your split, right? There's a lot of poor structures even below that, right? I mean, there's some here, there's some here. So once they crack, let's say this POC here, comes a quick dump all the way about 220 points, but irrelevant, right? So you see, you know, it's same setup almost as ES. I think ES did a little bit better than NQ. They came here, but they're not able to crack. So until we crack this, they're accepting value higher. Value area high shifted here, POC shifted value area low, a little bit less overlap than ES, I would say. In terms of bullishness, this one's a little bit more. It's just that it didn't crack higher like ES did. The ES almost made a higher high. That made new all-time highs. This one was not very close. Okay. Let me see what we have. What else? Let's say time statistics. I think we covered this. This is your bottom section here. This is what your imbalance would look like. And I share this, guys, every day I trade live. You guys see me sharing, highlighting, posting in main chat. So this is an example of a bullish imbalance. They're coming back and they're kind of trying to balance this. Let me see what time frame. This is 15 minutes imbalance, right? So they're coming back here and they're hitting this level, and you're looking for long opportunities, and you want to make sure you don't get destroyed and just buying blindly. There's a lot of things that checked out here, right? Some did not, some did. You want to see some completed auctions as you're approaching this. And you had some here, right? At 318, and it didn't really bounce much. But you see the volume on this candle here, the volume dropped, aggression picked up. This candle here, volume dropped, but not a lot of buying, right? Delta wise, not a lot of buying. This one here, volume dropped, some buying. So volume and aggression was not here, right? And they had some aggressive individual buyers, if you guys see here. I don't know if you can tell on this level, but nothing major. See, imbalances on daily, like I mentioned, you do want to make sure you have them if you have this software that you identify them. And in this case, you see here, I think this was, I don't remember, I think this was ES a while back from July of 23. They came back, and I remember this was a decent bounce here. You can zoom in, and then you want to pay attention to what is happening. First is, this is a balance on higher time frames. Notice the volume, right? As you're going down and you're selling off, do you really want to see volume slowing down as you're selling off if you're expecting lower prices?
No.
If they're selling, you want them to get rid of the inventory, right? With abundance. And that did not happen. So here they're slowing down, right? You see some aggressive buyers. You see them at 68.29 contracts. They're coming in, and I think I was collapsed a little bit. And you see the delta go from negative 8,000 on this candle to 55. And then look at the delta and volume. Look at the volume on this candle here. I want to highlight it. You have 192,000 this 30 minutes time frame, and delta of 6,700. So somebody's saying stop. As we auction lower, we're trying to stop what?
Selling.
The selling.
Yeah. So when you're auctioning higher, you're trying to stop the buying. So you're looking to see at what level do we have those sellers coming out, right? So that's something. And I don't know if this is opposite thinking in retail traders, but you do auction higher to stop the buying. And you auction lower to stop the selling. And I don't know if that sounds opposite in somebody's brain. It doesn't to me, but maybe it does to some people, right? And maybe that's why some people don't make money.
It's a rotation. Initially, I thought that was a little strange concept, but I get it now.
It takes time because you have to rewire your brain to think that way all the time on trading. And most people don't ever get to that level, I would say. Okay. In terms of absorption, right? So you could have absorption using, the deltas, right? As you're approaching, you could see the delta slowing down, just like I kind of explained here. The volume is dying, the delta is dying, and then you get aggressive bid buyer coming in, followed by the ask. That's one of them, right? You can also see when you're trading higher, right, at the levels, you see a lot of volume coming in. Let's say we're pushing higher like we are in this section here. And then you see a lot of volume. You see the volume here and imbalances. The volume is much increased. Typical volume, I believe this is 15 minutes, should be about, I would say, maybe 7 to 1,100 or so on the volume. And then you look here and you see inflated numbers at the top, but the price is not going higher, right? So you're pushing higher, volume's higher, volume cut in half. Look at this candle here. Volume cut in half, and what happened to the delta? And then you have the dip buyers. They came back here with half the volume of this candle they bought here. And then you see selling starts picking up, volume picking up, selling picking up, and then this candle volume is higher, not relatively higher than the buying. And you're looking to see now what are they going to do? They had a failed auction at this level. When they come to that level, if you look at this POC right here, if you just draw a rectangle here, this is where a lot of magic happens in a stock market. This is where You need initiative or responsive buyers to come in. And if you look at this area here, what happened? You see a completed auction, right? You see the volume is a little bit picking up, and then look at the volume here at 315. A lot of pickup in volume, and it's on the bottom of the picture. But what else happened?
Delta went more negative.
Delta went more negative, and look at these sellers right here. They showed up and they're fairly aggressive there. Now, what typically can happen, right? If you look at this, if these aggressive sellers, if this, let's say shortly after, if these sellers, the stock was here and does this, this becomes what? What would you call these?
Those be like limit buyers then?
It could be limit buyers, or they could have been trapped sellers that they came in and they were playing the breakdown of this, meaning momentum traders stepped in and they're trying to crack this. If they crack this and now you're watching for this zone to go higher, I wouldn't necessarily take it per se here. I want them to reestablish price above this level where they had, for instance, this guy, they had a lot of buyers. If they can crack this zone, then I'm looking for a buy. And you can protect yourself, maybe putting this here with your entry here and just eyeing it roughly, right? You would most likely get a 3-to-1 trade if you targeted something like this. If you're going up here of this double HVN, which is really, really dangerous to play against. When you have double POCs like this and you have an imbalance down, this becomes a really good what?
Resistance.
Very good resistance potential for short. And this occurs a lot. So I would definitely watch. You see aggressive sellers here, double HVN, aggressive sellers, a lot of volume. This is your HVN. So if you come here, this could be a short here. You crack this. If you take this long right here, you could take a long, what is it? 60 to 68. That's not bad. 8 points. You can take that, peel that off. They crack this. Then you could go higher to this level. Or you could take a short here, put it above, maybe somewhere around here, stop loss, and drive it back lower. At least that's how I would play it. Okay. I think absorption of sellers. Is there anyone that doesn't understand this? Does everybody understand the difference between absorption and consolidation? Usually in absorptions, right, you don't spend too much time in that area. When you're consolidating on an equity or a stock or whatever you're trading for a long period of time, that's a mix, right? The algos are buying, then you have the Wyckoff theory comes into play, where they have the creeks and springs, and when they spike above or below, it triggers some retail stops or weak buyers or seller stops, and they're able to accumulate for more, right? And if you just look at what's the Citibank. Let's look at Citibank on the monthly chart, and you guys will see that this is a major consolidation. Bring it up so you guys see it. If you go here, no, it's not that one. Look at Citi on the monthly chart. Right. I mean, this is since 2008. Right. They're consolidating here for a very long time. So that would be an idea, right? There's a lot of algos buying, selling there. I think we covered this. Kind of explained this flip of the imbalances. What was once a sell side imbalance, or let's say the buy side imbalance, they came back and revisited. Unfinished buy auctions. Does everybody know how to spot them on footprints?
No.
You guys don't know how to spot completed auction on footprints?
The 0 on either side.
Oh, the 0, yeah. I didn't know that was unfinished buy.
So if you have a 0, that means it's finished, right? If you have a 0 bid at the top, that means it's completed. Right? If you have the 0 on the ask on the bottom, right, that means it would be a completed auction. And the completed auctions, why we bring them up is when it's an unfinished auction, it has a higher chance to come back to resolve that auction. Market's efficient. They look to, complete the auctions. And when you have an unfinished auctions, there's a high chance you're going to come back and resolve those, right? Just like, what's the difference between poor high and unfinished auction?
The single.
It's the same thing, just a different name. Market profile calls it poor high, poor low. Footprints calls it unfinished auctions, unfinished business. Everybody remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so here's this. It kind of gives you guys an example. Okay. Let's see, resistance. This talks about stops. You guys can read that. And in some of these, I give you guys examples and how we traded some of them. And you guys can take a look at it. And then if you guys have questions, I would say you have to spend time, guys, with charts. You spending charts only Monday through Friday is not going to cut it if you really want this to be your job. You're going to have to spend some time. Even when I'm teaching you guys, when I look at stuff, I already formulated probably the plan for Monday, just based on what we spent 30 minutes on TradingView between PowerPoint and this. It eventually will not take long, but you have to spend some time and you have to put some effort in order to catch that. And I would say everybody in the industry that's free of W2 is some kind of master of something. Whether it's basketball, sports, whatever, doctors, they become really good at something. And you don't become good at something by watching TikTok. I know that one. Okay. Any questions on footprints? What would you guys like to see that you did not see on the footprints class? I can add. Anyone?
Sorry, can you say that question again?
So what could help you guys in terms of footprints to help you guys? We do the lives pretty much every day. And I explain a lot of times, if you go to main chat, I explain a lot of stuff I'm seeing in levels, right? And I point it out and explain what is it that I'm seeing, right?
Yeah, that definitely helps. For me, only personally, I don't have my chart, on my own. So it's hard for me to kind of see different charts because everybody has different settings and then to try to follow what it means. So I think that's the biggest struggle for me with that is just trying to interpret it because I don't get to see it that much.
Okay, and that's, I would say, try to get it. If it's Ninja or Quantower or Sierra, whatever you can, I would say it would be good for you to have it. I think I shared Tradivate setup, whoever uses it. It's posted. You guys can have the setup for the footprints on Tradivate. I don't know platform. I don't use it, but I think it's free. Don't quote me on it. I think somebody said it was free.
Yeah, you just have to pay like.
Yeah, I gotta buy a Windows laptop because the problem with me is that Mac doesn't allow that software for whatever reason. I can't get it.
It does with Tradeovate though. We have Tradeovate. I'm on Mac too. He's saying Tradeovate.
Okay, well, I didn't know that then.
So we should be able to. I don't know either.
Free and Ashley get together. And I don't have a Mac, and I probably never have a Mac, but you guys can probably work it out. And I think somebody else uses Tradeovate. I think Finn's up. He uses Tradeovate. And he loaded the
All
footprints.
right, we'll figure.
His charts, and maybe you guys can get a group chat and figure it out.
Yeah, I do as well.
Okay.
All right, I'll try that. I appreciate it. I'll send you a message, free.
In terms of class, is there something else that could be beneficial in how it's structured for you guys to help you? Because you guys all learn differently. I mean, we all do. So is there anything else you guys would like to see in the class itself?
I think for me, maybe seeing a little bit how to use footprints around like when to enter, how to enter, stop losses, when to get out, that type of thing.
I think for that, honestly, the best is the lives. And I don't know if you have opportunity to join the lives. I can tell you where I would get in now, but how's that?
Yeah,
Aaron and I could also be lying, right?
I've been in the lives. I find myself sometimes having, maybe I'll see something, I'll see absorption happening, and I'm always in way later, like, or I'm in too early. So I notice I'm not, and seeing the difference between NQ and ES2, I feel like on NQ, like I see it, I don't know, maybe I know that they're very different, so I think I'm also just figuring that out as well.
Yeah, I mean, NQ, I would say, don't trade NQ until you formulate your process and your rules. Do not trade NQ.
Okay.
A lot of you guys will, ES trades just as much, and one tick is, 1 point is $50. So you don't need as many points, let's say, to make $500. So, and it's slower, which will not give you heart attacks like NQ will.
Yeah.
So I would say a lot of you guys should, at least if you're gonna trade NQ, go to MNQ, and trade 2 MNQs. And I promise you can make money on MNQ lately. It just moves like crazy, right? You can catch 150 points on MNQ, and you can have a stop that's $100, right? And you can target quite a bit of rewards, especially if you're on the right side of the trade.
Yeah, MNQ is good, man.
MNQ is solid. I'm telling you, if you change your options where you just trade MNQ and MES, you guys that are learning this, your life will be much easier and less stressful. Because sometimes when you trade ES, if you miss an entry and you start chasing, you can be down $200 within 2 seconds.
Yep.
Shorty, can you go into depth in another class about like the delta when you have it on your chart on the right hand side, like those big bars that come out? Usually I interpret that as like, hey, that's a big either support or resistance level, and usually it plays out to a good entry, but sometimes it doesn't. So
Those are stops, right, Shorty?
Not necessarily. I mean, that means where the NQ, where the delta comes in, where the aggressive buyers and sellers came in. And usually if you see one level, like before open, between 8:30 and 9:30, if you see a level that's excessive on delta, either buy or sell, red or green, the way the color set up, usually they're going to defend that with everything they got at open. And sometimes you guys hear me say at open, we're probably going to tap like 32. I'm throwing numbers out. And right out of the gate, they come to 32, and then they bounce and higher highs. I look to see between 8:30 and like open, was there anyone that predeterminedly bought a lot or sold a lot? Lately, it's been bought a lot. And I look to see when they come to that level, are they still there? And most of the time, they will be there. So those are your basically delta levels based on volume. At this level, like I'm showing here. This is necessarily volume, but I could quickly change this and I can explain it probably Sunday or how this looks like, right? When you change this to delta type, it would tell me at this point, the delta is positive. At 44.20, delta is positive, let's say 3,000. That means if the price is above it, that most likely was aggressive buyers that were sitting there, right? And that's how you interpret that delta. And sometimes you guys see me on the right side, I'll have today's delta, and on the left side, I could have monthly, just because one day, right, especially they were a month end, doesn't mean much because you spent 30 days here in March. Like, what is the delta looking for month of March? And then I'll shift the right side or left side to show me that. Like for the month of March, like how's delta? Is it green at this level or And sometimes you'll see large orders of delta sitting at certain levels, and they play out to a T. I would say a lot, like 90% of the time.
Shorty, I have a question. If let's say you right there where you have it at the long green line there. Okay. Let's say if under that you start to see red delta, does that mean that the sellers came in beyond that line, under that line?
Yeah, if you're watching at that time, like live, yes, that means somebody's stepping in and selling aggressively.
Okay. Thank you.
You have to pay attention. For instance, here, right? You had aggressive sellers, more aggressive sellers, right? And then you had a completed auction here, right? And as soon as they completed this auction, I was like, okay, well, as soon as I see somebody, get aggressive a little bit here with this box that you see, there's a large sellers, 3 sets of them, or aggressive sellers. As soon as they hop in and break that level, I'll hop in and take that short. And then you see, once they cracked that, I was able to short that, and it dipped much lower. And you see here, there's aggressive buyers here. It's probably not a bad close. So if you're shorting 22 to 09, that's it's pretty good.
Shorty, I have another question. Let's say as the candle's going up, okay, and they're buying, and all of a sudden you start to see on both sides the volume, okay, is on both sides, like where you're seeing, the like a high volume node, let's say, and you start to see the price. The price usually rejects from there before it goes through. Do you agree, or is it the absorption happening and then going through?
I'm not sure if I follow, but
Yeah, I don't know if I'm asking the right question. I guess what I'm saying is let's say the candle's going up and all of a sudden it starts to slow down and it starts to build those you start to see growth on the left and on the right side, as in the bid.
Yeah, that means it's an absorption, right? That means that the auction is slowing down, and this is where they're finding a value. They're finding some slowdown, and they're going to trade away here. And if they auction lower from there and aggression comes in, that means most likely they absorbed all the market buys, and there was a limit seller, and then they're going to push the price lower in search of buyers.
Especially if they have a completed auction at the top.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Something higher than 5 minutes, right? Unless you're scalping, that's different.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. All right. Well, that would be it for me, unless you guys have more questions. And then during
I have
go ahead.
I have a suggestion for what we could add.
Sure. Yeah, add it.
Okay, I don't know, it might be too much, but so like maybe you know how you embed videos in the PowerPoint? If you could put like a little video clip of a replay or an example of like certain strategies or the 80% rule, because some of us, like me, like when I'm reading it, I read it and I understand it, but when I see it, I don't recognize it. So if I could see a real-time example, I might be able to
I just have
understand.
I don't mind doing it. I just have to figure out how to use the replay buttons on TradingView.
Yeah, it's a little hard. I know. Or even like the strategies.
Yeah, there's a replay feature somewhere on.
Yeah, it's really easy, Shorty.
So, and then like a strategy, or like the orbs. If you could embed like a little video blurb of that, like just explaining. I know you did the whole video series on the orbs, but I just like in the PowerPoint that in the 80% rule or something like that would help me. I don't know. If it's too much, I understand.
No, I can definitely do that. I mean, I can't do it like in a day because you have to find the instances where it occurred unless it's trading live and I capture it. That's different. I can definitely do that. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. All right, guys. Well, I got to go take the kids out. They're about to blow the roof off the house.
Hey, thanks a lot, Shorty, man.
You guys.
Thank you, Shorty.
Have a good day.
You too,
Thank
man.
you.
Okay, thank
See you later.
Hey, bye, everyone. Thank you, Rockets.
Bye, everybody.